My worst day put away with key locks placed inside a locked box. I need the pain, I need the strain, I need the fire of pure desire. 'Cause I'm never free from this addiction, affliction, addicted to my misery. I cannot detox from this condition, conviction, addicted to my misery box. I'm never free from this addiction, affliction, addicted to my misery. Cannot detox from this condition, conviction, addicted to my misery box. My reasons, my demons, he took from me. A stolen piece of memory. Took my pain, my disdain, it's not fair. Give me back my nightmare. It calls my name with burning flame. Every night it's all the same, reliving my darkest shame. 'Cause I'm never free from this addiction, affliction, addicted to my misery. I cannot detox from this condition, conviction, addicted to my misery box. I'm never free from this addiction, affliction, addicted to my misery. Cannot detox from this condition, conviction, addicted to my misery box. Now your fate is where I bled. You took the weight inside my head. Took my loss, bore my cross, walked my miles so that I might smile. Gave your heart, paid the price that I should pay. Now there it is, you stay forever, ever locked away. Should feel sane, should feel whole, but your pain is in my soul. 'Cause I'm still never free from this addiction, affliction. Now it's yours, but still in me. I cannot detox from this condition, conviction. You're inside my misery box. I'm still never free from this addiction, affliction. Now it's yours, but still in me. Cannot detox from this condition, conviction. You're inside my misery box. I don't deserve you. You stay true. I want to save you from my misery. You couldn't save me from my misery. I'm addicted to my misery. Addicted to my misery. Addicted to my misery box.
It began with the suicide of Charles Blackwell, just days after his 55th birthday. Then the Rhineswan family massacre. 3 generations painfully passing from this world, crying the same crimson tears Blackwell had.
Sit alone on the edge of
5 members of the prominent Rhineswan family were found dead.
After that, the media finally gave their murderer a name. The Red Crier Killer.
Memento mori.
prior.
Memento mori. Remember you will die. I know it's droll to sell my soul. I wanted to protect them though, but I couldn't even play my role. Now vengeance is my only goal. Memento mori. Too late for sorry. Now goodbye. Breath goes dry. I will cry when I remember you will die.
「捨てられてた東京」「変更なする今日も」「優しく突き放してくれ」
And good morning, weebs and waifus. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to some delicious, malicious morning nonsense chat. We're back at it again. It's Friday, which means none other than it's Weeb Day chat. Welcome. Hope you had a wonderful Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but now it's a fantastic Friday chat. Welcome back indeed. Let's see what's on the agenda for today, chat. What is happening today? Odom Fences, praise be to LD Best Chat, of course. Space King Sega Sanshiro says he will make all the dishonorable gaijin refuse to play the glorious Sega Saturn be represented by Low T Talarico. Oh man, that's a pretty bad fate. Probably should just like you know what? Can you just kill me instead? I think it'd be way better. Boar Legion says good morning and happy Weeb Day, LD Weebs and waifus. Hello to you, Boar Legion. Good morning. Hudson Bomb says morning, folks. It's Weeb Day. Anime still remembers that you can have an evil race and not have it be standing for IOR races. Yeah, it's like so you know that they have that whole thing about you can't discern, like they tell us that we can't discern reality from fiction. But then they'll watch like Free Run or something like that and say, that's wrong that they have demons in there. It's wrong. That's because the demons are them. That's kind of why they feel very connected to the demons, and just like they feel connected, personally connected, not just fans of, but personally connected, personally represented by villains like Medusa and stuff. Usually how it works. Let's see. You can have an evil race and not have it be standing for IRL races, though people like to self-report when they see evil races. Yeah, because there's a very strange pattern that we've noticed, right? Where every single time they call this stuff out, it's very interesting. We'll say it's very interesting. But to summarize the pattern that's going on here, there is no minority race that they have not seen and compared to a fantasy monster. Every single time it's a really big self-report. Yeah. How come why is it all you anti-racist people, like this vehemently anti-racist people will see a fantasy monster and instantly think of some minority? Why is this the case? Interesting. Remember the whole orcs are black people, they see goblins, they see Jews, that sort of thing. I mean, so why is that? No one else thinks that. No, like for decades, no one was like, oh yeah, the orcs are black people. Like no one thought about that. But here comes the anti-racist crew, and suddenly there's no fantasy race. There's no fantasy monster specifically, not race, but fantasy monster that they do not look at and think, oh yeah, that's XYZ minority. Therefore, it's racist. Right? It's racist. Let's see. Carl Tolkien says, hi all, not too late today. One day I'm so busy, I have 100 things and one thing is going on and want to watch them all. Makes sense. Carl Token Nerd, welcome. Gunblade Knights, good morning, Aldine. Best chat, having Weeb Day and best day of the week. Hello to you, Gunblade Knight. Good morning. Shadow Adventure says, good morning, all. Raining so perfect for being inside for Weeb Day. And yeah, it's been nonstop storming over here. Like nonstop. It's been crazy. Fortunately, I've only lost power once, and it was a big one. But fortunately, I guess they fixed it big time last time because it hasn't happened since. Great Nice is good morning, Literature Devil and chat. I've been reading Sakamoto Days. Very cool. He's going back to his old school to find out the identity of the man who put a bounty on his head by finding a database. Very cool. It seems like an urban legend. He's disguised as his wife, and 24 hours to find it before he goes back to normal. That's pretty funny. I mean, the second one of these is pretty crazy. People say that's like the John Wick of anime, but no, it's not really at all. I mean, he's like a really top class assassin, but I wouldn't like read that or watch that and think John Wick. I don't know what I would think. It's kind of unique in that way. It's just, the only thing that pertains to John Wick is that he's a badass assassin. But the story wise, character wise, etc., it's not really close. Leif Asselt says, "Happy Weeb Day, LD, and best chat. Don't forget to get your villainous anime observation log of my fiance. We call herself villainous. It's one of those like the very very cozy ones. Those very cozy ones because the prince insists on falling in love with her, but she also she might be in love with the prince, but she also insists that he fall in love with the heroine so that he can have a great life because she just loves him that much. And then he's just like, this is interesting. What is this now? She's like the only thing that alleviates his boredom. I haven't continued it yet. Been really busy with trying to get Lady Midnight out there. Lady Midnight out there and trying to fix that up and do this video. But yeah, it was pretty funny so far. I did like the fact that the guy like just saw the heroine and seemed enamored with her on first sight. Right, this saw her, we became enamored with her, or we think, or it's kind of leading to believe that she's having this profound effect on him. And then later on, we find out that nothing has changed actually. And he just thought that this heroine lady was creepy and just had her thrown out. That she was acting very suspicious. I thought that was pretty funny. And say hello to God, please. Happy Weeb Day, LD and Best Chat. Good morning, good morning. Hello to Siege Garden says, hail LD and Best Chat. Good morning, Siege Gardens. And Megnathon. Good morning, good morning. Don't know how long it could stay today. It's PT day at work, but I'll send it as much as I can. Hello to you, Megnathon. Oh, and Too Fast, Too Furious is a nonsense movie. The plot falls apart 3 times. Well, yeah, I think they're fun. They're nonsense, but they're fun. I think in one of the more recent ones, they like one of the guys has like this crisis. Is like, how come we're alive? Look, we do all this crazy stuff. We're fighting a tank, man. How come we're alive? There's no way. Even the characters recognizing how crazy the movies that they are in are. Lord of Dragons says, good morning, everyone. We successfully closed on a house. Very nice. Heading over there to change the locks. After that, I'm going to go watch the He-Man movie. Very cool. Very cool. I heard a lot of mixed things with the He-Man movie. But I mean, it sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty good going by what Shad said. Happy Weeb Day, everyone. Hello to you, Limp Biscuit. Good morning, good morning. Steve Huggins says, good morning, and happy God bless Weebs and Waifus and Spandos. Thumbnail for the stream while talking about evil fantasy races. Talk about a gum. Freaking faunus, man. You got those filthy, dirty, trashy faunus, just ruining everything. Any place they go to, they're just lowering property values everywhere they go. And see, Shadow Tron says, good morning, all. Going to be a one around here today. Hello to Air Condition is your friend. Hello to Shadow Tronics. Good morning, good morning. Misery Box. Isn't that how J.J. Abrams directs movies? No, he uses the mystery box. Very different. Very different. Carter Ketchels, good morning, Dave and Best Chat. Welcome to Weeb Day. What's everyone enjoying this season? Hello to Carter Ketchel. I don't think I'm watching anything new just yet. I did find out that so I went to go back and rewatch this series I talked about some time ago called like Legendary Healer Starts a New Life in the Shadows or something like that, or Free Clinic of the Shadows. And I was watching it again, right? And it's very cozy, sort of. It's also very, very neckbeardy. It's kind of like this cool guy who's a super duper genius at healing because of his past experiences, past abuse, I guess. Decides to open up a clinic in the slums. It starts, treating people for a price. And of course, there's these 3 gangs that run the slums, and they're all run by like these waifu characters, like these love interest characters. And he also gets like a ghost and like a little elf girl who's like in love with him or something or whatever. But thing is, the main love interests are the 3 gang leaders: the orc lady, the lizard lady, and the the wolf girl, I guess. Like I guess she's a leader of the werewolves or something like that, the werewolf gang. But I was listening to the English dub, and I was like, wait a minute. Here comes the lizard lady, right? I was like, wait a minute. Is that Freerin? Because there's certain things that caught my attention. The certain way she says a few words, I caught my attention. I was like, wait a minute, is this Freerin? And yeah, it is. So the Freerin, the English voice actress for Freerin also voices the lizard lady in that anime, and that got me into looking into what else. Wait, what else does she voice? I'm curious. I never, I didn't even consider what else she voiced outside of Freerin because that role is so iconic for her. But it blew my mind that she also is the English voice actress for High Elf Archer, for Goblin Slayer, which is kind of funny. It's like, wow, you're the voice actress for two iconic elves and the age of fantasy anime. That's kind of crazy. That's pretty interesting though. Also, it's pretty funny that because they have such distinct personalities. It's just the High Elf Archer is so like the opposite of Freerin. It's pretty funny. I mean, they're around the same age, I think. Or maybe maybe the High Elf Archer I think is like double Freerin's age. Actually, I think she's like 2,000 years old. But it was pretty funny. It's like, wow, it's at least amusing to me that she played two iconic elven characters. Let's see. Like she can be typecast as the elven voice. Let's see your chat. But I've been going back over that stuff while rewatching what's it called? Tanya the Evil. Because it's pretty funny. I think I find the worst part about it is, why is Tanya a kid? It's kind of just like takes me out of the anime. It's like, how is this possible? Why are they allowing this like 9, 10, 11-year-old to be like a military leader? I mean, yeah, she's skilled and everything, but this is insane. And some characters are putting out that that's pretty insane, but it would be a lot more immersive and cool if she was older, It would be less distracting if she was older. Because like, why is this little kid here? Like, what does this make any sense? It's just too outrageous that they would allow this like 9, 10-year-old kid to be on the front. I know that's old enough to go Pokemon adventuring, but I don't think it's enough to be on the front lines of World War One. That's a little too crazy. But I do like the show in terms like the war and everything, that the World War One setting, but with mages and stuff. That's pretty awesome. So I do enjoy that. I do enjoy that war aspect. The same way I enjoy like the Gundam stuff. I mean, the holy time, the best times that the whole thing comes into play for Tanya being like a kid is that one time they were about to do a sneak attack on the enemy, and they're like, okay, well, we have to warn them first according to the rules of war, or else it's a war crime. And so she puts on her little girl voice and says, oh, you're about to be attacked. And then nobody believes her, and then she goes, okay, we've done our duty. Firebomb them. I mean, the character's attitude is good because she's like, ruthless and kind of cool, and then hates the communists and stuff. But it is distracting that there's like a little kid on the front lines, like and then also of a high military position. Like, who does that under any circumstance? Who the hell does that? That's the stuff I've been going over again. Also been rewatching Ghost in the Shell recently, the movie, but before like research purposes, and for Lady Midnight. So what I've been watching that movie for specifically is the atmosphere sections, right? The sections where they kind of go over the city and the slums, and you take it slow. Basically, it gives you time to breathe, and it's kind of like you get to see the city, you get to see the area, while time passes, and I think that's pretty interesting. And I made a page in Lady Midnight based off of that, but I gave it a little bit of meaning. And it's like we were following a character that's not Midnight. But it's a secondary character, but he's like a normie. Like he's a human from like the normal world, and so taking a step into this world of magical chaos that is the underbelly of Orb City, and then he gradually goes from like the regular world, and I put it all in the notes. But it goes from the regular world, and you can see how the world's changed, the city is changing around him as he kind of goes into the crazy magical world. So I was gonna find it because I think you'll like it. I know people have seen it, but it's a really interesting segment if you watch it over and 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 over again, like I did. Let's see. Well, that's kind of what I've been going into. Shadow Electronics, hello to you. And Carter Ketchel says, Moila Dev and Rumble Chat. Here we are, the finest of weeb days. Absolutely, absolutely. Hello to you from Rumble Chat. Lord of the Whores. Greta Ayong, hello to you. Lord of the Whores. Dr. Crispin says, well, my friend saw the Digital Circus movie and he liked it. Then again, he is not a crazy person. Me, I just wait until it's free. Also, the Lego thing is now a huge rabbit hole. Yeah, I heard. Let's see here. Let's see. Book Column. Good morning to Book Column. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's see, Chad. Let's see. Sorry, I lost you for a bit. She never got promoted to a top post because she was a woman and such posts were only offered to men. Doesn't seem too much has changed. Wait a minute. She never got promoted to a top post because she was a woman? You mean like Tanya the Evil? I'm not really sure. Let's see. There we are. Emmy Acumen, they should send gifted memberships. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Welcome to 10 new members of the Lit Legion. Hope you enjoy the past shows and the custom emojis. Let me get the clip right here. Let's see. Thank you very much, Anime Acumen. Very much appreciated. Very, very generous. Very generous. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone. And let's see here. Make sure I get this all together now. All right. Put that there. Awesome. All right. Thank you much, Anime Acumen. But there we go. I think we got this. Let me look it over here. 1 second here, chat. They put that up there. So there's our current goal, and then I'll add this. All right. We are almost to Smiling Friends. We are almost to the Smiling Friends unlock, chat. We're almost there. Let's see here. Dr. Crow says, good morning, LD. Hello to you, Dr. Crow, and Big and Best Chat. Thinking of taking a few ideas I've been having for short stories, making them an anthology of them. Might be interesting. See how that goes. We should put them all together in one connected thing. This is the Satoshi Kon style. That's exactly what Satoshi Kon did to make Paranoia Agent. He had a lot of movie ideas that he knew couldn't be made into like full movies, so he made it into one connected anime called Paranoia Agent. That's why like every episode in Paranoia Agent is it's connected but so unique, right? Like the Maria one or something. So you could do that. I would recommend that as opposed to making them all separate. That way, if you're invested in one, you can move on to the next one, and you're still invested because it's still the same world or same mystery connecting them all together. I would recommend that. Plus, it'd be pretty fun to see how they connect together, or how they would connect together. Hello, Talcum X. Good morning. Hello to Schwazoom. The only downside, in my opinion, for evil races is that it makes any character of that race inherently more predictable. I mean, it's kind of why Dritz was so interesting, because he kind of rebelled against his own people's nature. Let's see here. Where are we now? Laura Dragon says it's because they think that everything is racist, everything is sexist, and everything is homophobic, and they will call you out. Yet will follow every stereotype that benefits them. Well, yeah, what it all depends is it's stereotypes. It's like if you don't act, even for example, if you don't vote Democrat, you just ain't black. Remember that's the whole Joe Biden thing. You have to follow stereotypes. However, if you make a comedic observation about stereotypes, you're racist. But if you hold a person strictly to stereotypes, and then if they don't meet those stereotypes, you call them like a race traitor or something like that, that's fine apparently. Like Idris Elba didn't eat enough Caribbean food or something. Let's see. Ty President says, good morning. Hello to Ty President. Hello to you. Let's see. Hello to you, Alex. Hello. You're feeling dick today. Sick today. Up to you. Welcome, welcome. Let's see here. Where are we now? Where are we now? All right. All right. Now let's Halo. Looks the $5 super chat. Thank you very, very much. Let's see. I'm surprised how many different voices in Japanese voice actors of Freeman can do. Also, who also voices Anya? Oh, yeah, that's right. The little daughter from Spy's Family. It's pretty interesting. I guess it is, however, one of the talents that a voice actress can do. Let's see. All right. Alex Halos is a $5 super chat. Thank you very, very much. Says the Tanya anime is called War Chronicles of a Little Girl in Japanese instead of Tanya the Evil. She's evil. She's definitely kind of evil-ish in English. They definitely like kind of hype up her devilish nature in there. I know it's a guy, like it's a grown man. It's a little girl because that's part of his punishment from God. Like I'm gonna make you like a poor and weak and everything. And see, where are we now? Norman looks a 5. How would you go about writing a reoccurring antagonist, one where they clash repeatedly with a protagonist, but keeping the antagonist interesting? Well, the thing is, they can't really lose, and so because if you have an antagonist that keeps coming back, you could definitely do that. You could have a Team Rocket style situation, but if they keep losing, they will suffer villain decay. That's kind of what to keep in mind. So if it's a villain where it's like they will run away, like Team Rocket blasting off again, or if you have Jack Spicer from was it from Shaolin Showdown or something like that, then you're gonna run into issues of villain decay because eventually they had to replace Jack Spicer as a villain because he just lost too many times. It's good. Like they have an antagonist like a boxer, right? They can only lose so many times before they lose they lose. So they have to. So in order to keep the antagonist interesting, like the Fire Nation did a good job at this. However, not Zuko, because the thing is with Zuko, he was interesting, but he kept losing. Right? He kept losing over and over and over again until they switched him up. That's kind of what made him redeemable. He kept losing, but kind of started to change himself and stuff. And they gave him like a way out of villainy, but he couldn't stay with villain because he kept losing too much. So that's why they had to add in Azula, who was way better. And look what they did with Azula, right? Azula, when she popped in, she was just a powerhouse. At the first time we get to really see her clash with the good guys. They're like she outplays the good guys. She manipulates people around her, and she kind of takes over where others have failed. And it takes like Zuko, it takes like Iroh and Zuko and like Aang and Katara and everybody to just back her into a corner. It takes all these people just to back her into a corner. So if the villain does lose, it has to be an insane level of effort to take them down or to get them cornered. Right, or like a once in a lifetime chance. Like, okay, we have this one opportunity to trap this enemy. So it's like that. Okay, if you want the enemy to stay interesting, like really interesting, like a threat, then they can't really lose too often. They could lose every once in a while. All right, that's not to say that they can never ever lose, but they themselves must be a threat still. And if they keep losing effortlessly, they're gonna suffer the villain decay. Shishio, for example, in Rurouni Kenshin, his minions lost for him, right? So you can get them the good guys clashing with the bad guys and have one main antagonist. The central antagonist is Shishio, but his minions will lose for him. So he never actually lost until the end. Like he dueled Kenshin and then lost that one fight. But during all of that, across the story, Shishio will fight he will fight a few people. I think he fights a few people, or he's just so intimidating that no one will challenge him, or he beat a lot of people in the past, stuff like that. So yeah, you have to, if you want an antagonist that's reoccurring, but want to keep them interesting, then they can't really lose. Like every single time the protagonist comes to clash with them, it has to end in like a draw or the antagonist kind of winning in some respect. So how you kind of measure this is that maybe the antagonist won, but they didn't win completely. Like that's how you can keep them a threat. Like maybe the antagonist won 80%, but 20% the protagonist got a little like a slug in there, or they were able to do something that slowed them down or something like that. Kind of like how the invasion of the air temple in Avatar, the one where they later on where they meet these people who are kind of like just flying around with the wheelchair guy, the scientist guy, the air temple was taken over by the scientist guy. So when that happened, the Fire Nation invaded, right? But they lost technically, but they ended up gaining the technology to use blimps and stuff. I think. I think that's kind of what happened. So they lost technically speaking, but they ended up winning. They ended up getting a huge technological boost. And so you have to kind of balance that out. So the thing is, if you don't need them to be that antagonist to be like a looming threat, you could definitely make them like an ineffectual trio, which is another trope, or like just an ineffectual villain where they're sympathetic and they keep clashing with the bad guys. They keep clashing with the good guys and losing in humorous ways. It's kind of, again, the Team Rocket. It's how it goes. But just keep in mind that they will suffer villain decay, like Team Rocket. Team Rocket, in the initial run of Pokemon of the first season, very first season, they were pretty threatening. They seemed pretty evil. They seemed pretty like a villainous. And then over the course of the story, they became a joke because they kept losing over and over and over and over and over and over again. So if you don't mind them losing that spice, that edge, then it'll be fine. It can still be interesting. Like Team Rocket is still interesting because they're kind of fun personality wise, but they will not really be seen as a threat unless something changes about them. Like they get superpowers or something like that. Like, kind of like a Rex Raptor and Weevil Underwood during that the Atlantis arc, right? They get like a super boost or something that like helps them out or something like that. They get the Orichalcos that helps them. So you could definitely do that later on. And they do become a little bit more of a threat. Let's see. Tanya the Evil is a subtitle, if memory serves. Tanya the Evil. I mean, it's a pretty cool show. I do like the setting and the idea. In fact, I wish it wasn't an isekai. It was kind of it'd be kind of cool. It was just kind of like just in your face. It's just a setting of World War I with magic and stuff. And then the main character is kind of cruel, but also kind of, is a patriot and talks to God. I don't know. I just thought it'd be kind of cool. And every single time they kind of bring back the isekai part, like, oh man, this again? Can't we just forget about that part? Like on some of these anime, it feels like it would have been so cool if like the isekai. Well, let me put it like this: it'd be interesting if it was not an isekai, or more interesting if it was not an isekai, and the isekai part just kind of brings it down. And sometimes it seems like the show or the story knows it, so it rarely brings it up. It feels like sometimes it just shouldn't be an isekai, and they only did it because it's the trend. They want to get published. So okay, I've wrote this cool story, but I'll go ahead and make an isekai so that it can be published. That's what it feels like sometimes. Let's see. Kara says, no, don't worry, LD. Just been finalizing some articles about female engineers, and she was one who came up. Okay, that's pretty interesting. Just a bit depressing. That makes sense. Let's see. Fatal Crest says, unless they aren't straight up trying to like kill or capture, but are a thief or side goals, it might keep them invested. Yeah, just so if the character, like the antagonist is worn down, but the thing is around the antagonist could be interesting. Like Jesse and James became pretty interesting when they kind of added in Butch and Cassidy, because then it became like rival bad guys. And see chat. Where are we now? Dr. Rather Forces in Batman TS, it didn't use Joker or any of the iconic routes gallery that all. Yeah, it's like every once in a while they gave you Joker, and every single time it was a Joker episode, you knew it was gonna be big. It's like whenever Joker showed up in Batman the Animated Series, it was huge. Like it was like, and he would always give Batman a run for his money. So that way, when the Joker pops up again, right, and then the Batman reacts to it, he's like, "Oh crap, it's a Joker," and we kind of believe him. All right, it'll be totally different thing if it's like, okay, here's a bad guy that we beat like every week, and it gets sillier and sillier and sillier. It gets easier and easier and easier, and then and then then he comes back, and then the character, the hero is like, oh, it's this guy. Oh crap, we're in trouble. Like, are you in trouble? You always beat this guy. Like, it's always easy to beat this guy. It's a little bit different. So yeah, it's just be careful. You gotta juggle around these villains, and if you want to keep them spicy, you've got to keep them, interesting and threatening. They have to at least put up a very good fight where it feels like the hero is lucking out by winning. Otherwise, they'll suffer villain decay. Let's see. Nexus Knight 2, hello to you. It says, what about Tekkaman, Blade Technoman? With a D-boy, when after he beat the Radom a couple of times, they sent the members of the Argos to fight him, even his twin brother, who became Tekkaman, evil, Shinya. I don't know. I don't think I've seen that one. Let's see. Alex Halo, the $5 super chat says Team Rocket did manage to win a couple of times, but something would happen to make them fail. I think so. Yeah, like something would interfere to bring them down. Let's see. Top says Atlantis and Yu-Gi-Oh! This is still a series of playing children's. Yep, it still is. I thought it got crazy in the original show, but it gets crazier apparently in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX and beyond. Terry Nikoyama says, yeah, the Team Rocket trio actually got some shine in black and white anime series. Really? Interesting. Let's see. Shoutout says, you're wanting to read the Tim Rare's book series then. It's Napoleonic Wars, but with dragons and no isekai. Well, that sounds awesome to me. That sounds pretty good. I do like that idea. And so you killed Captain Clown. No. I think John DiMaggio did a pretty good Joker. I mean, he's a really good voice actor, despite the fact he's very very politically charged, I guess, like his attitude is. But he was a really good Joker. He's an iconic voice actor in America. He's Bender. He's Waka. He's Jake the dog. Like, he's very iconic. Anyway, Chad. Anyway, I'll go find the other thing I wanted to show you later. But for now, we'll watch this. Evil races in anime make some fans mad for some reason. Well, check it out. 1 second. Put this back up here while I update everything and get everything all squared away. Let's see. Shwazoom, which is the 5. What's it? It's not euros. What is that? Is it pounds? Let's see. There's not pounds. No, it's euros, right? It's euros. Those are euros. These inherent evil and evil culture, evil races, drow are not inherently evil, unlike e.g. Freeran demons or Tolkien orcs. See Illustrie. I think, yeah, the drow, the drow are not inherently evil. They have an evil culture. That's kind of it. Probably because it's a matriarchy, but like they have an evil culture, and they're very brutal. I kind of learned most about the culture through Baldur's Gate 3. I got very hands-on look into the culture through Minthara. Yeah, it's a very brutal thing. Where it's a very brutal culture where it's not even like just about how they demean men and just use men as slaves. It's about how Minthara was almost killed by her own mom when she was an infant. That's pretty crazy. That's a pretty crazy culture, I have to say. But yeah, there's inherently evil and there's evil culture. They can have an evil culture, then you can have like but they can't really admit that, because the whole thing is all cultures are the same. All cultures are, there's no culture better than the other culture. Oh yeah, then why come everyone goes to the West? Why is it that everyone wants to flee to the West when things go bad? Why is that then? If all cultures are the same and there's no culture better than another culture, why is that? All right, sit down, hippie.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's also very interesting how every episode so far seems to be fun. I'm watching season 2 of Free Run, and I am enjoying.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. How soy is this man? I guess we'll see. Alex Haley says, speaking of reincarnation like Tanya, in newest Fate anime, a guy reincarnated as a girl then summons their past life as a servant. That's interesting. How does that go? I can imagine like summoning your own legend. That's pretty interesting scenario, I have to say.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's also very interesting how every episode so far seems to be pointing out that, yeah, no, we are using that evil race trope.
Oh, no. Uh-oh.
Oh, geez. Here we go. All right. You have lost rights to that beard. I revoke your beard rights. All right, lost your man card.
First of all, love the beard. Looks very soft. It's giving Aussie moist and kitten fur, which is really nice. Very plush. I'm gonna try and be fair in this discussion because I see a lot of people making this comparison with fantasy tropes. Maybe my response doesn't hold up, but here we go. If you want to go and check out Half Elf 42's full video, it is available on TikTok. He talks about very interesting what in the Jesus almighty Christ? Was this a look you were going for on purpose? I like the look. I'm just saying, it's very interesting. Wow, the comment. I just hear, yes, my child, every time I look at him. Anyway, my child, I have forgiven thee. I'm sorry, I'm done.
Interesting how every episode so far seems to be pointing out that, yeah, no, we are using that evil race trope.
So to answer that, yes, that does seem to be what they're doing or what a lot of these shows that are in the fantasy genre do. And yeah, the trope is being used. You're right. It's a good versus evil trope, but that doesn't make it a racist one, not the way you're thinking. It's completely understandable that if you have a race of demons hunting and eating people, the humans being eaten wouldn't like that race of demons. I think that's a very warranted, that's a very warranted reaction or feeling. I'm pretty sure if Attack on Titan was real and those giants, the Titans, were eating your family, we'd hate them too, and it would be warranted, right? It's also okay to admit that, hey, we all hate flies and mosquitoes. I don't know anyone who likes them unless you're a person.
Yes, I always swat those things. I'm not thinking about, are all flies evil or are they good? No, I was like, just swat the fly. Swat the mosquito.
Who collects insects. Does that make you racist? Of course not. But yeah, it kind of does. Everyone has some level of aversion to threats. I just don't believe this argument holds up, particularly in a fantasy world where demons are magical, supernatural, or evil species that are literally malicious by nature. That is like the standard storytelling of fantasy, but that doesn't equate to real world racism. Equating the two only shows an inability to differentiate fantasy from reality. That's just what I see, because people get really angry when they see certain things like this. Not the creator, but I know people who do, and they're like, oh my God, this is talking about Mexicans. Like, oh, how did you... Nobody.
It's more self-report than anything, as we discussed earlier. It's this is obviously Mexicans. This race of backstabbing thieves, obviously it's kind of like how when people kind of watch DS9, right? And they watch the Ferengi and say, oh, these are Jews. Like, wait a minute. What gave you that conclusion?
else thought that.
Are you saying like there's a weird race with these large noses who look like goblins and with large ears who are just obsessed with money and gold, or gold pressed latinum, are Jews? Like, I've seen that argument before where they'll say that DS9 is racist because the Ferengi are Jews. And really, the Ferengi are capitalists. They are supposed to be like the most childish depiction of capitalists, crony capitalism out there. But Gene Roddenberry made them with all the maturity of a toddler on a sugar high. So the DS9 made them more sophisticated and more interesting. All right, as opposed to weird like psycho gerbils or whatever that they were acting like. Again. Speaking of villain decay, like the Ferengi were kind of built up as this mysterious, super-powered entity of a nation, of an empire, right? And because they're the ones that destroyed like Picard's original ship, the Stargazer, I think, and a whole bunch of things. Like they were this mysterious and weird, and they're supposed to be terrifying. And the first time we see them, they're like these weird hyperactive gerbils, and they are just like little goblins, and they don't really seem like a threatening people. Right? They're very weird, and like they're definitely no Klingons, definitely no Romulans. All right, it was immediately. It's like Gene Roddenberry's hatred for capitalism was so hard that all it took was one episode to destroy all threatening attributes and dread around the Ferengi race. DS9 had to come in and give them a little bit more gravitas, but even then, the Ferengi were kind of a joke. Even then, the best they could be is a little bit more serious sometimes, but mostly they were a joke or a side quest, something like that.
Like, there's nothing wrong with analyzing stuff. It's fun. But if the fantasy series didn't have that trope or something similar, you probably wouldn't be interested in watching it. So there can be nuance, I agree, but it's also okay to have something that is just evil. Movies about tornadoes don't need to give storms this tragic backstory about how their mommy left them and beat them, and that's why, they're eating the towns and the humans. Sometimes the force of nature is inherently destructive. Evil can also be relative. As Dr. Wu in Jurassic World says,
You asked for more teeth.
I never asked for a monster.
Monster is a relative term. To a canary, a cat is a monster. We're just used to being a cat.
and that was a very well thought out line because it's true. It's okay for prey animals hunted by cats to hate felines. It really isn't that deep.
A very
Yeah, do you think are you gonna press the cat or press the mouse like, hey, actually, I know that the cats didn't tend to hunt us and don't really care. They want to eat us and whatever. They don't really care about us at all. But really, you shouldn't use slang. Or you shouldn't use slurs against the cats, sir. That's going a little too far. All right, a little too far.
common defense that I see is, oh, well, they're
No, not all cats are evil, but they all want to kill us, though, right? Well, yeah, I don't care about whether we're evil or good or how they're killing families or whatever. No. So, but I can't call them a slur. No, because not all of them are evil. This is kind of where we're getting at, right? It's kind of the ridiculousness we're getting to. Like demons are essentially humans are mice to demons. Demons do not care about humans. They use humans for food. That's they specifically evolved to hunt and trick us and hunt us down. So I don't really see why it matters, at all. If they're like, oh, well, maybe they're kind of good. Like, no, they want to kill us. That's it. It's kind of like a cat wants to hunt a mouse. They don't care about anything other than the next meal.
just animals hunting. Like that's all it is.
So he goes on to making his other point by saying that,
Okay, you could lay down and offer your body to the demons, like, because if you're solely by logic, like, no, these guys, I don't care about the morality. These guys want to hunt down and kill us. We have every right to defend ourselves and be as aggressive as we want about it.
the characters basically prove that no, these demons are doing it maliciously. And the demon said to one of the characters that they were doing it for fun. And yeah, it seems as though this is malicious. And yes, this is the evil trope where the creature is doing it for that sake. But evil here, as I said before, is relative because to the demons and their own kind, this is just their way of life. Cats, as Dr. Ruth says, and as we all know, fall into that category of being evil, even though we think that they're cute, because they torture and play with their prey, as you can see in this video. The snake has been trying to get away, but it met its match with the cat's reflexes, and it's a really interesting video to watch, so go check it out. Canines can be seen as evil when they tear apart their prey while it's alive. Most dogs do that. Killer whales torture seals by flinging them many feet into the air and keep them alive as long as possible, just for fun. Are they evil? Humans do things that make life miserable for others. Like some individuals that will watch certain things or see a video with cute cats and somehow make it about racism or make it about something evil to make everybody else not enjoy that video that has nothing to do with what they're.
Fatal Chris is they humanize visually just to get closer to the goal. Yeah, they mimic humans. And not only that, they kind of mimic a beautiful face and beautiful language in order to help trick us. Like the whole thing with the emissary meeting between that we see in season 1 is that they only took a meeting with the main guy, the leader of the kingdom, in order to see if the shield around the kingdom could be let down. And turns out they could. They had no intention of making peace. They had no intention of leaving people alive. They just want to see if that shield could be lowered so that they could invade and kill everybody. That's it.
Talking about on that said video. Are we evil or is it just in our nature? Male ducks gang up on females to the point of injury or till they pass out or pass away as part of their biology. That's like baked into them to do that with some of these species. Are they evil? It's okay to have the good versus evil trope. What I'm a little confused about is how people equate it to racism in the real world. It's almost as if you see things through that lens.
Here we go. The self-report part. This is the most amusing part of this whole discussion.
All the time, you'll find it in absolutely everything. The same arguments get made about Lord of the Rings orcs, and it comes off as having, or it can, you might mean well, but it does come off as you having a very racist mindset yourself if you are one of those people that automatically equate a demonic fantasy race to real minority.
Exactly. As I said before, it really is like that. There is no monster race in fantasy that the anti-racist crew does not look at and see a minority.
I don't really know a lot of people in real life that will look at the orcs in a fantasy show or at demons and be all like, this is horrible. Look at how they're portraying Black people.
Exactly. Like, what the hell? Like, no one thinks like this except for weird Terminator 9 leftists or whatever.
It's not a very good look.
Another thing people will bring up is that it's supposed to be an allegory for bigotry, but that falls apart when you start saying that they are just born that way. There's no changing their mindset. You should be putting them down in the crib because once you're
allegory for bigotry, they're bad guys. That's it. They're just bad guys. All right. There's no allegory for bigotry or whatever. They're just evil. They're an evil race that is essentially the ultimate obstacle for Freerin. Like, no matter how powerful she is, she could not really topple all of them back then. And she could only have fought and defeated the Demon King because she had trustworthy allies. We never got to see that battle. See, Norman Manders, the five says, so what is she saying is that the nature is that nature is evil and must be vanquished in the name of good? Yeah, evil must always be vanquished in the name of good. So, I mean, it's fantasy. You can definitely have an evil race that's just evil. It definitely could happen. And you could have like a member of that race that's not be evil or choose not to be, or was born wrong and is not evil or something. But ultimately, it's like, what do they represent? What are they doing? Are they like the demons in Freerin? And the whole thing is just like, they don't really care about us. They just want to eat us. They're not taking a second thought or a moment to understand, like, okay, which one are the good guys? Like, are there good moral humans? And they're not thinking about that. They're thinking about which one am I going to eat first. That's about it.
You're born a bigot, you're always going to be a bigot, and that's not how that stuff works. You are indoctrinated into bigotry. It is not something anyone is born with.
What are you talking about? If you're born a bigot, you're always going to be a bigot. Like, what? Are you talking about demons? Like, demons are the bigots here? No, they don't care. This is not about bigotry. It's a whole discussion about, beyond good and evil, right? So like the Cthulhu monsters are not really evil, and they're not really good either. They're so large, so ancient, and so above humanity that stepping on humanity is not really a malicious act, because evil kind of requires maliciousness. And so like it's kind of like how you will just destroy an anthill to bulldoze and build something. Like, it's without a second thought. That's kind of how we would be to these Cthulhu monsters, the eldritch horrors out there. Like, it's not really malicious. It's just kind of like we're so above the ants that we don't care. It doesn't really matter. So it's kind of like that argument, right? It's not real. They're not really bigoted against humans. They eat humans. They're so above humans that just eating them and killing humans is nothing. It's like, okay, what does it matter? Right? I killed a few humans. Like, whatever. Like, who cares? So it's like that. So they're not bigoted against humans necessarily. I mean, yeah, they probably look down on humans or whatever, but they're not killing humans because they think that they're superior or anything like that. They're killing humans because it's fun, or it's just they're hungry or anything else. It's not really because of bigotry, where I feel such hatred for humans that we got to wipe them out. Like, it's not really that. It's a question of beyond good and evil.
He says it's something that you're taught. Actually, sometimes it does work that way. Studies show that babies have innate face recognition and preferences, reacting to the point where they will react with fear to unfamiliar or monstrous looking faces that they've never seen. It's baked into our DNA for survival. And yeah, there's a bit of tribalism in there too, but it's not learned racism. In Freyrun's universe, if humans are constantly preyed upon by demons who admit openly that they do it for fun, them wanting to stay as far away from those demons as possible, you can't really say that's bigotry. That's not really fair. I would say that it's more in line with self-preservation and completely warranted and understandable, because you can't rehabilitate something that sees you as its food. Or as
so here's the thing that Freerin is going for. Like, here's the dilemma that Freerin is facing, right? it's the same thing I talked to you about with that humanity fuck yes story that I read to you, or not I read to you, but I talked to you about. That was very interesting because it brings up the idea of justifiable genocide or the genocide and self-defense, where it's like if you have the power to deliver a bloody nose to the enemy alien race that destroyed like millions of humans and laughed about it and reaped rewards about it because the destruction of your people got them a lot of power and privilege that they really shouldn't have had. They should have been punished, but they got rewarded for the genocide of an entire planet of your people, right? So what do you do? What's your response to get revenge? What's the revenge consist of? Okay, you might kill a bunch of them. You might wage a war against them and you win, right? Okay, you win in a big way, like ultimate victory. Then what? You make peace. Then what happens? These guys remember that and they rebuild better than before, and they know exactly what your weapons are now, and so they're going to figure out ways around these weapons, find ways to defend against them, find ways to beat them. Right. And then next time they go to war with you, you might not be so lucky. They might not only will they be able to defend and fight against you, they might go ahead and say, you know what, screw you. All right, we're not dealing with this anymore. We have the strength now, so we're going to wipe you out. So you're dealing with like, okay, I genocide is wrong, so I won't wipe these guys out. We'll make peace after we won, and then they get stronger and they wipe you out. Because they want brutal total revenge and to stomp out the possibility of all of you retaliating again, right? So it's called like the Dark Forest theory, I think, right? Or it's at least related to that. The Dark Forest theory is that the reason why we have not come into contact with alien races or other alien societies is because of the Dark Forest theory, where it's essentially you're in a dark forest and there's an infinite number of possible hunters out there. Now, the thing is, the reason why it's so scary is because if you run into another hunter and even if they're friendly, you shoot. There is no questions asked. You find another hunter, you shoot. Why? Because you make contact, you're friendly, but eventually along somewhere down the way, there might be some conflict, and the other hunter, I mean, thinking like, okay, are they going to kill me? The same way you're thinking, is he going to kill me? And it's such a brutal reality that the other hunter might kill you first before you have a chance to kill them. It's like it's that level of reality. And so it's like the moment you spot someone, the protocol is to shoot them dead, no matter what it is, no matter who it is. Is in the person there? Boom, dead. That's kind of I think that's a Dark Forest theory, but it's kind of like this. It's same thing. It's kind of like this. Like you can't really leave this other race alive because they will come back, retaliate, and probably wipe you out, and there'll be no repercussions for them. That's kind of what that's the mindset that Freeman is facing because the demons are so ruthless. Like the demons will just casually commit genocide against the elves. That's what destroyed her village. Like they wanted to wipe out all the elves. They casually just commit genocide against their people. They'll just think nothing of it. So Freeman knows that even if she's against genocide, and it was against it all, and has a moral quandary with it. The thing is, there is no actual practical choice. She knows that the demons are such, their culture and their people are as such that if you don't wipe them out, they will wipe you out. So Freeman is facing that whole dilemma of if we don't wipe out demons, they will wipe us out. So it's not really a moral quandary of should we or should we not. The question is, do we want to get wiped out by demons or do we want to wipe out the demons? That's kind of what she's technically speaking what she's facing. So it becomes a different question whatsoever when you're dealing with a race of creatures that is that vindictive and think themselves that superior. And so that's kind of the discussion I'm really thinking of or going into. Like, oh, well, it's wrong because they have morals or whatever. No, the real question is, do you want to get wiped out by demons or do you want to wipe out the demons? That's the real question here. That's the only choice that the demons are giving us.
less than them. If anyone is racist in this, it would be the freaking demons. And this is a tale as old as time. That's why hack and slash games and zombie stories exist. Nobody's calling, the writing for zombie movies racist. Nature has predators like squid or anacondas that if they latch onto you, they don't care if you're begging, oh, please let me go. No, they're crushing those bones into sawdust. To the prey, they are a threat. It's not the same as real world learned prejudice.
Like, it's a good show, but it relies on a racist trope. And when it uses this trope, especially when there are no people of color in it, is going to make racists feel really comfortable in the fandom.
This doesn't really make sense because you can't just change your writing just to appease racists. They're going to exist no matter what you do. And also, for the love of God, people, please.
And see, Alex Halo, there's a $5 super chat. Thank you very much. See, in Fate, Tiamat creates a race of creatures that wants to wipe out humanity and can fight evenly with the gods and goddesses. What do you do there? Do you sit around on Twitter and say, well, so, maybe some of them are morally righteous, or maybe something were different? No, you have to defend yourself. All right, just like these coddled like millennials and everything will say, well, they've never experienced any actual conflict in their life, so like they're the ones sitting around going, well, maybe it's a moral quandary, and maybe we shouldn't really betray these guys are evil. No, they're evil. The question is beyond that, because beyond good and evil, because they are there to kill us. That's it. Who cares if they love their dog? Do they give Hitler loved his dog? Are they going to give the same consideration to Hitler? I don't think so. So who cares if demons go back home and relax with their puppy? They are ruthless and will think nothing about killing you, your family, and devouring your wife or your girlfriend or your child right in front of you. Like this, we had a depiction of a soy boy leftist SJW in Freerun. It was that village leader, right? The village leader, remember when the first time we ever see a little kid demon? She ate another little kid. She ate a little kid human and burned down the house. And then everyone's like, oh, monster. And then the village leader is like, oh, well, it's we got to take her in and give her another chance. Obviously, it was a mistake. We couldn't obviously rehabilitate her. And then time passed and the little demon was kind of like this there and kind of blending in until she did again and ate another human. Killed an entire family, I think, so that she could replace the kid that she ate. And she didn't even actually care. It was kind of like a smokescreen saying, oh, look, maybe you misunderstand me again, and maybe you'll forgive me again because, oh, I'm just trying to replace the kid that I ate. When really it was all a trick. It was all a trick. So yeah. We had an example of these soy boy types in there. She just was messed up. It's her nature. It's her cult. We got to just rehabilitate her. And then she just did it again. There's no rehabilitation. There's no changing of their ways. They're there to eat humans, and they will lie and trick you, and they will confuse you, and they will kill you without a second thought. Okay, so this whole thing about these coddled millennials are sitting around going, well, maybe on a moral scale, maybe we shouldn't really have these kinds of no, this threat exists. What if you were faced with this threat? What do you do? What would a soy boy do if faced with the idea of die or kill or die? That's essentially what we have here with demons. Actually, additional thought is chat says Merlin fights one of the creatures by summoning Excalibur to him and then sword fights it. Merlin fights one of the creatures by summoning Excalibur. I mean, that's pretty awesome that Merlin wielding Excalibur. That's pretty cool. Also, what is Merlin in the Fate series? Isn't he I don't think he's a servant, right? He's kind of like the keeper or something. Let's see. Let's see. Ben Parker says, "Are you disappointed with the new Stargate cancellation?" Only by the factor of why it was canceled, and that it was canceled because they said it would only appeal to fans. What is this? But I was never a Stargate. I never watched Stargate, so I couldn't really say I was a fan of it. So, in terms of I lost, in terms of I lost a potential franchise or whatever. Not really disappointed. Not really disappointed. Let's see here, chat. All right. But in terms of why it was canceled, very disappointed, I'll say. And Lady Vessel says, do these people even have morals? Are these theoretical morals the same framework as ours? On that note, do you even know that our world operates with different moral and cultural framework? Yeah, it's a little bit different. Like they don't really have the same civilization that we do, right? They have to be more ruthless. They have to be because they don't have the same infrastructure that we do. No morals or laws. A lot of people have to fend for themselves in the world of free run.
Please, I mean, you could do whatever you want to do, whatever, no censorship, whatever. But saying people of color is the same as saying colored people backwards. Being overly PC to try and not sound racist by like default kind of comes back around to you sounding racist. Like, I don't know. Is anyone else bothered by that? Like, it just cringe every time I hear it. But anyway.
Yeah, it's just kind of like you're saying people of colors. It's just not, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It just sounds a little better because there are more syllables.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to say is that Free Run is a Japanese anime, right? And it's inspired by medieval Germanic folklore and European folklore and all that stuff, based on what we know. So in these cases, with this kind of culture or this specific story in this specific time, why do people insist on forcing people of a different color than the people that existed in that time into the story just to prove a point? Like, races exist in every color, by the way. Asian, white, black, it doesn't matter what you are. Hispanic, Latino, doesn't matter. You're going to have someone who has some form of prejudice within it. It's almost like it's something that is within our human DNA at some point to develop, because we are a social species and we do have tribalism for a reason, because anything that
it's a actually this fighter says Fate Merlin is an incubus mage who was trapped in Avalon by Morgana. He was able to become a servant through a loophole. That's interesting. So he saw the need to become a servant and this became one. I mean, if there is a loophole or a way to do something, I'm pretty sure Merlin would do it because he is a badass in any universe. You know how like in multiverse, he's like I love you in every universe. Merlin is a badass in every universe. I love you in every universe. Merlin, badass, every universe.
Doesn't look like us when we were evolving from what we came from, could quite possibly be the death of us. Apparently, there's some research saying.
Imagine if they could start saying a person of white.
That it's possible that some forms of primates or humanoids, the prehistoric ones, were feeding on other ones. So, I mean, it was literally a way for you to survive. So it's almost like it carries over. You know what I'm saying? Not saying it's right in the malicious way that it's done. I don't agree with that at all. I think it's very ignorant and says a lot about people who feel that way, especially now that we know better. But that tribalism thing is very ingrained in us. It's okay to still tell stories in areas or in timepieces or in fantasy sects that have people looking a certain way, so you can tell, oh, these people from this area and those people are from this area. It's a very great story mechanic. I love different ethnicities and skin colors and all the different shapes and sizes of people. And I also love in my my downtime, like when I'm watching movies, I'm like, oh, I wonder where this person's from. This person looks Nigerian, or this person looks Korean. This person looks Japanese. Like, you can actually kind of tell a different based on where they hail from. And it's very beautiful. Like, I actually know, I guess, like looking at certain people, I can tell who's from Boston. It's very weird. It's not the way they sound. There's a look to them, specifically the men, two Bostonian men. Like, not all of them, but there's a lot of them that have this weird Irish mixed look, and you look at them, you're like,
it is true. It's like you think of like a Boston guy. He's like, there's an image that just pops up, right?
what if that person's from Boston? It's like, oh, yes, he is. And Matt Damon was one of those people that had that look, and I looked it up. I'm like, oh wow, are you serious? He looks just like the what's the Marky Mark guy, like the one that my husband likes, whatever. But they have this look about them. It's really cool. Sometimes we can be wrong, but that's part of the beauty of it. And when people start to weaponize diversity where it doesn't fit, that only makes things worse. Creative wise, like for art, you're basically forcing people who are writing these stories to appeal to your own sensitivities.
Matt Damon.
That you probably are in the 0.5% of people who feel that.
And see, Raspin7 says, these soy boys are so desperate to kiss up to us black folks or any other minorities because they're so desperate to make up for sins of their fathers, even though they're not responsible for those sins. And their fathers probably didn't own slaves. That's kind of the the reality of it. The chances are they were never slave owners. Chances are, they think that every white person owned a slave. It's not true.
That way and don't accept the story as fantasy and want all of a sudden to be like, okay, well, you know what? These people from this pale skin region, they ain't enough color in there. You got to color it up, guys, spice it up in there, dude. But if you did the flip side, you'd be like, no, that's not allowed to. You can't do that. Let the people tell their story. I think that there should be stories from all different parts of the world. But if that's a story they want to tell, then what's the problem? You want to appease the very small percentage of idiotic racists out there just because you feel like.
And the thing, this was what I hate about the PC culture thing, where they have to, they require you to think about the implications and what could this say? Like they know there's a thing of what you want to say, but they have, that's kind of what sensitivity readers do. They go in there and they say, well, it could be interpreted as this. Right, that's kind of what their whole job is. And you see that on Twitter, like, oh, this thing could be interpreted as this, or it could be interpreted as that. It's kind of, the main example is fantasy races. Like, that's a big example. It's fantasy races. Well, these orcs are, they're black person coded or something like that, That's kind of what they mean. It could be interpreted as this. Kind of like the DS9 thing where, the Ferengi could be interpreted as Jews. Like, who cares? That's not my intent. My intent is not to create this race to mimic any one kind of race or person in real life. All right. My idea is, boom, here's a cool story. Or I'm focusing on the story, not what some Tumblrina or ex-Tumblrina on Twitter is going to get mad about. Right? This is why PC culture is as ravaging and ruining art, because it makes you consider and even change your art or story based on what some weirdo on Twitter is going to interpret it as. So this kind of, they go in and say, oh, well, if you do this if we do it this way, then some racists are going to, like it. Well, you know what that is doing? It's giving racists a lot of power. You're giving them a lot of power, because now you have to concern you. Basically, you're catering your story around racists. That's the main thing you're doing. Like, oh, what will racists think about this? Well, let me change it here so they won't like this, so they won't enjoy this. Same thing with the male gaze. Like they'll change their female characters so that men won't like them. Like, oh, here's a cool female character. And then they'll have like a sensitivity reader or a friend come in and say, well, men really like this aspect. So how about you change these wide hips? How about you narrow the hips? How about you broaden her shoulders? How about you get rid of her boobs so that, there's no male gaze going on? The whole male gaze thing is just anti-male mentality. It's just, there's no actual thing, no actual reason to fight the male gaze other than you just hate men. It's just bigotry. It's just enforced bigotry. But it's okay because they make it look, they wrap it up in victimhood. That's about it. So yeah, the catering your story or artwork to with racists in mind and saying, oh, well, I can't do this because the white supremacists will interpret it this way, or some racist on Twitter will interpret it this way. So I can't have a story out there with things that they like. Well, that's just giving more power to some random faceless racist to than yourself. Like you're giving more power to some racist over your art than you are giving yourself, because they are changing it's forcing you to change, or it's inspiring you to change the natural organic form of your art based on what they might think. These random racists. All right. So like, for example, to switch it up, I am very much anti-woke. But the thing is, I made Lady Midnight, and I made Lady Midnight. She's very competent. She's strong. She has like twin Colt 45s, right? There's a big backstory to her and everything. She is the main character, a female main character. I'm not thinking like, oh, will the feminists like this? I better change it. No, I'm just writing my story because I have a story to tell. And this is the shape it's supposed to take, right? This is how it goes. So that's more or less how it's supposed to go. You're supposed to put your story first, your characters first. It would be way different if I was going and writing Lady Midnight and saying, oh, well, Well, hold on. Will the feminists like this? Will SJWs like this? Will the wokies like this? Or will the politically correct crowd like this or find this empowering? I better change it so they don't. Like if I wanted to put, like, for example, if I want to put a lesbian thing in there, and like if I want to make a character, like a female character, this want, fall in love with Lady Midnight or whatever, I'm not going to go, oh, wait a minute, the LGBTQ crowd is going to like this. Like, no, if the story requires something like that, then I'm going to put it in there because the story said so. The story, it makes sense for the story, and it gives me more contrast, more tension, more dramatic twist to the story, right? Then it's going to be used. It's going to be utilized. All right. As Neil Gaiman says, I'm going to kill that unicorn. I'm going to break your heart. I don't care about what you interpret it as. All right. That's how it's going to go. Nicklathon, next to the Fido Super Chat says, I wonder how much their mind would be blown if I explained the bigotry between the English and the French Canadians. There's just a lot of tension between some of those people up there in Canada. Let's see. Anyway.
As though I don't really understand that logic.
It lets them feel comfortable doing shit like this. That is the real ICE hotline that got censored out, by the way.
People are gonna do what they do, and this definitely is not gonna make them stop doing it. You can have the most wholesome cartoon, and someone will troll somehow. They'll slap a bikini on it or something. Like, you can't stop every idiot by rewriting people's original stories or making demons redeemable or something. And I'm sorry, but seeing demons as stand-ins for Black people or other minorities, not saying that you personally do, it says more about the people who think that way, to be honest. And changing fantasy stories, it's not going to stop real-world prejudice, by the way. Like, the same logic would force Asian creators to add white characters or vice versa, and it doesn't make sense.
Defending demons, bro. It's not defending demons. It's not defending anything like that. It's just me calling out the writing trope. I'm not talking about the in-universe stuff. I am talking about the writing.
With all due respect, Mr. Beautiful Beard, personally, I don't see anything wrong with the writing trope. Sometimes...
Yeah, just absolutely nothing wrong with the writing trope. All right, sometimes you just need a force that you can destroy and wage war against without any moral complications. That's why even Tolkien made orcs. Like, he knows what the orcs are supposed to do, right? The orcs are there to be to represent the encroaching darkness, this physical representation of encroaching evil. And then later on, he's like, okay, what's the origins? Are they like an evil race, or are they corrupted elves or whatever? But the role they play, he knew what role they needed to play. He knew there needed to be a creature that played this role of soldier and encroaching evil. So he made the orcs. That's what role they played. Now, their circumstances he wrestled with a little bit, but he knew what role that need filling there.
Sometimes we as people need to dial back our intellect and remember that fantasy.
And say, Lady Fazio says exactly. I will also add that there was no Black slavery in Pacific coastal states. That is Southern history. It has nothing to do with us in the mountain states and the Pacific states. Exactly. It was not like the most rampant thing ever. Right? It's not as widespread as they want you to believe. Like, if you look at the realities of that era, it's very few people own slaves in comparison. And there are a lot of people from the North and everything who fought slavery even back then. And that's kind of why there's a dividing line in the first place, because the U.S., even back then, the U.S. was not totally okay with slavery. It was like, that's why you had southern states and you had northern states, and why the South became the place where you could have slaves and the North said you couldn't, because there was already contention there. It's not like suddenly we're like, oh, slavery's bad. Like, no, that was not the case. Slavery has always been a big contention in the United States. It just eventually we outlawed it.
Fantasy. It's a genre of speculative fiction centered on magical, supernatural, or entirely imaginary worlds and creatures. It often serves as a form of escapism, drawing deeply on mythology and folklore to explore moral possibilities through the term. Though the term also commonly refers to daydreams and virtual sports management. And excuse my saying this, I hope this doesn't come off as rude, but in a world so far removed from reality, calling demon evil a racist trope, I'm sorry, it's really ridiculous. I understand where you're coming from on spotting the trope, but why does this discussion even need to happen for fantasy? Seeing everything through a race.
Yeah, it's retarded. It's the stop treating everything like the real world. Okay, evil races can exist in fantasy. All right, it's not like another human race or anything like that. It is a different set of creatures. It's the enemy acumen additional 5. That's your think much enemy acumen. Worst place to be a slave, ironically enough, was New Jersey. Was New Jersey really? That's pretty interesting. And see, thank you much, Anime Acumen. Appreciate it. See, Shadowing Tronic says, I'm late getting my day started. Have a great weekend, LD in chat. The same to you, Shadowing Tronics. TV Duckworth says, Faceless Racist is a good band name. I think so too. Actually, I know you pointed out. Sounds pretty cool.
Racism lens makes it hard to really enjoy anything. I mean, yeah, media has real problems. I'm not negating that or whatever, but this isn't one of them. You want to critique the dialogue or the animation or the voice acting or whatever, even the way that
like PC culture and being overly sensitive about everything, it really has ruined art. Like it really has just taken a sledgehammer to the kneecaps of creativity. It really has. And it's really super cringe. I mean, it's really super cringe. You can't do anything. You can't do anything anymore without it being like, oh, are you a racist? Are you a sexist? Like you can't do anything. Like when you get down to the nitty gritty of Lady Midnight, when I finally reveal more and more about the character in the world, they will probably call her like a sexist rendition because witches in the world Lady Midnight are bound to tradition to the point where they are technically a different kind of magic. Right? They follow tradition, and they kind of I bring in the term idiot god, which is essentially a personified force of nature. Like it's a god. Imagine Zeus, but with no intellect. Like this, the Zeus is not a person. Like a Zeus is a creature, but kind of runs. Well, maybe Poseidon may be easier to understand. Like an idiot god is more like if Poseidon was a creature, but with no real will of his own or intellect. You pray to Poseidon, and you'll get exactly what you expect every time. It's kind of like that. So like that's kind of how the natural nature gods work in the late world of Lady Midnight, and that's what the witches that kind of use and worship at. They know they worship gods that have no like conscience or real morality. They worship idiot gods, the mindless gods of nature and the forces of the world. So they are technically a different set of magic than the typical mages in the world, because the mages in the world are typically arcanists, which essentially which came about, canonically speaking, during the Renaissance and the Great Enlightenment. Now, the difference here is that the way the witches or the way Lady Midnight's people kind of like use magic and utilize it is they are working with the forces of nature. Arcanists they seek to control the world around them. And so they kind of pulled away from the traditional magic that Midnight uses and the witches use, the working with the nature magic, and they focused on the study of controlling the forces of nature, which became known as arcana. Very different there, but essentially the witches are very traditional. They're very conservative. The good ones anyway. And then there's more stuff anyway.
The developers or writers or what have you is treating their audience, or if it's shallow, whatever that case is, I understand it, but equating evil demons to minorities, or every time you see a fantasy and you see, damn, that kiss is going on very long. What the frick is going on over there? Is he like hucking? What's happening? Is that his girlfriend? Oh, damn, I think it is. The way he's looking at him. Ooh, he's sorry. My apology.
Yeah, it's the part where Seymour has kidnapped Yuna, is going to marry her, and you have to rush in to save her before she gets married to Seymour.
But yeah, this conversation doesn't really need to happen. And when you equate evil demons, you look at them and you think to yourself, the first thing you think is, oh my God, that's an allegory for people who don't look like me or non-white people. It's not.
It's so political brained. It's so just Twitter brained. Also, they didn't have any political brain. There's a whole meme, right, where it's just like, okay, let's actually talk about politics, and the brain just zones out because they're not smart enough usually. They say they're into politics. It's about, gay rights, trans rights, and minorities and oppression. Like, it's not politics. Politics is actually really boring. Politics is more like, okay, what's the policy here? Should we send men here? What's the laws of this or laws of that? What's the infrastructure of the judiciary system? And that's kind of like politics. Pop politics is what they're into, which is all about gay stuff, essentially. Gay stuff and trans rights and oppressive minority stuff. That's kind of what makes them into politics when they say they're into politics. All right. And it has this warped people's brains into being overly sensitive about everything. And the thing is, they think they have media literacy because, oh, that's black people. Oh, that's Hispanics. Oh, that's Jews. Oh, that's those are Asians. That's what makes them think they have media literacy. What they call media literacy is because they can find thoughtless parallels between the media that they're watching and the real world, and therefore they have media literacy. When really media literacy is trying to dig into a story to try to find the core ideas and themes and what it actually teaches us about humanity overall, not just like, oh, that's orcs or that's black people, that's Jews. Like, that's not really, it's dumb. That's not this. You're attaching things to the story that were not there. All right, that's not media literacy, as even the way they say it, or what was meant to be said. To Megalathon, they should $20 super chat. Thank you very much. Appreciate. Very generous Megalathon. Thank you very much. Holy shit! Says, I think the people that criticize tropes probably don't have the imagination to build out a wide world. They probably don't. Because it takes a lot of imagination, a lot of effort to build a world and then put a story in that world. Where fantasy or sci-fi, I mapped out a whole dark web of legal gene therapy to explain a character red and orange hair. See, that's kind of what you do as a writer, as an actual writer, right? It's pretty cool. These people who whinge about this political stuff be like, they'll think about a story and world building as far as oppression. That's it. What I want to show and spread awareness of my personal political pet viewpoint or whatever. My pet project of politics. That's how they think. I don't think about what would be kind of cool, what would make sense. Let me dig into this world and see, what attaches where and what led to what. They're like, this is I'll have these people standing for Native Americans. Kind of like they turned the Sand People into the Native Americans on Tatooine. It was so cringe. So cringe. And so Lady Fessler says, Ellie Lore, so the Arcanists are today's scientists and atheists who want to dissect and control the unknown powers of the world. Yes. Deny that it exists because their authority has to. Yes, exactly. They kind of denied the old world ways of doing things and denied it all. So they want to control the world. That's what an Arcanist is. And that's kind of what your traditional magic is, like your typical fantasy magic. That's kind of what a wizard is. So Lady Fessler, to answer the question here, the Arcanist very much is like a scientist. Like it's like this, the world, the time where that's why I kind of modeled it after the Renaissance, not modeled it after, but placed it during the time of the Renaissance and the Great Enlightenment. It's when people started to pull away from religion essentially and embrace science. And so the magical world did something similar. They pulled away from the old traditions where they worship at the altars of the idiot gods of nature, and they try to control the forces without the worship of idiot gods or anything, or any sort of religion, really, technically speaking, right? They want to harness their power without reliance on the nature around them. So they kind of learn to control it. So this became known as Arcana in the world of Lady Midnight. So this is why Midnight does not use a wand or anything like that, and she uses spell components instead. And she uses a dagger and spell components. A dagger that she made herself as a part of her a rite of ritual to that kind of signaled the end of her training. And it's made of witch silver. It's not actual silver because it can't hurt her. It can't hurt it can't really hurt I guess other witches or whatever. But witch silver is not actual silver. It is an enchanted blade, essentially, enchanted blade that witches know how to make on the last stage of the rite of passage. That can be that basically its function it disrupts mana flow. So it disrupts magic, which is a very powerful thing that it can do. It's in what we're actual silver slays evil. Like real silver slays evil. That's kind of it's been blessed with the power to slay pretty much any kind of evil. And that's not even getting into the whole thing with God, because God exists in this world too, and that's a whole nother thing. But I do have it all mapped out. For example, you can be both religious and a mage family. So the mage family that Lady of Midnight works for are arcanists. They're from a mage family, from the Arcana tradition. They're not doing the traditional, worshiping of the idiot gods or anything like that. And they're also still Protestant. They're also still very Protestant. You'll see why. But it's very interesting. I thought I found it very interesting, although I wrote it. But but yeah, the Arcanists are essentially the Arcana is what happened when humanity started. The human wizard the segment of humanity that are wizards decided to take control of the forces of nature rather than work with it or be beholden to it. But so yeah, comparing to the scientist/atheist types is a pretty good comparison. Anyway,
a good look, it comes off very bad. I know that's probably not your intention, but that comes off of what people say internalized racism. Like you can actually try so hard not to be that.
It's a Seg 162-5 says, used to turn my nose at the tropes until I started writing. Even the schlockiest publicized author is putting in work, and tropes can be helpful tools. Absolutely. In fact, I recommend the utilization of tropes. Is this what I always say? Whittle them down to fit you. Don't just copy paste them into your world. And see.
Come off seeming like that doesn't mean you are, but it does seem like that. It's like when people say, "Oh my God, you're pretty for a Cambodian girl." Like, like what? You know what I'm saying? Like they're like, "Oh, I meant it as a compliment," but then you're trying so hard to be nice that you could have just not said anything. That it sounds like a backhanded compliment. Anyway, feel free to check out his original video. I still think, even though I disagree for the most part, I still think it's interesting for us to have these conversations, because I heard of the perspective from Lord of the Rings, but I didn't know that this was like a widespread thought that people had. And it's very interesting to hear that.
It's a widespread thought pushed by widespread thoughts.
Perspective. And yeah, good.
There we go, chat. Yes, Arcanist equals hubris of mankind. Now, the thing is, what's interesting when I made Wi-Fi, of course, because I wrote it, but what's I added in there was that witchcraft is often it's about consorting with demons and everything. Consorting with demons actually goes against the witches in the world of Lady Midnight, because God came later. Like the idea of the religion of the Christianity religion and the Protestant religions, they came later, after the worship of idiot gods. Like that religion was formed later, right? So the demons therefore came later. They were not there in the beginning. What they call demons. They were not there with the natural forces of the universe. So the consorting with demons as a witch goes against what they teach. You're not supposed to consort with demons. But some did, because it is very tempting. There's still, and also in the world of Midnight, women have a stronger connection to the spiritual world, which kind of leads into the whole idea of the innate natural magic users. So, which is a whole other thing. It's kind of like the difference between a wizard and a sorcerer from D&D. But yeah, so the actual consorting with demons is actually against things. It's actually against the doctrine, the overall general doctrine of the witches in the world of Lady of Midnight. To the point. So, what and why that matters is because Midnight essentially consorted with demons in order to save her coven. That's kind of what happened. She consorted with demons in order to save her coven, and then this made her an outcast, not only with arcanists, but also her own people, her own kind. And it's very apparent that she has sort of demons because there are some physical effects like being weak in sunlight and having glowing eyes. But the glowing eyes can come in handy because you can see things. Because it's kind of a benefit actually. But her eyes are weaker in the daylight, and she kind of has a stinging sensation in daylight. It sucks being in daylight essentially overall. But the thing is, she wasn't supposed to consort with demons. That's the whole thing. It goes against the traditional doctrine of the witches in that world. And see. Alexander 55 says, "Oh, hilariously, LD and Fate. Tiamat's son asks why Merlin is an incubus. An incubus is helping humanity, and he says he needs them to be alive to eat their dreams to survive. I guess that's true. you kind of need to keep them alive in order to just keep eating them, right? And see. Where are we now? Alexander says holy water super soakers were a thing during COVID. What were they? That's pretty funny. That says, well, I'm interested in LD. I love this kind of story, but I probably couldn't write one myself. I mean, it did take a lot of work to hammer it all out. See, Ben Parker says, and what you're conceiving of for your story isn't that far off from real world paganism, LD. It's fascinating seeing what people can come up with when they embrace that as a concept. And it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's going to be a pretty widespread world where a lot of things can coexist with each other. But it's a utilization of how the world and the universe operates, the dark truth, and that's kind of the big theme of the Lady Midnight story. Because her gift that she got from consorting with demons was in a fortified mind. So not only can she remember a lot of things, but she can take in a lot of knowledge, a lot of forbidden knowledge, and not go insane. You know, the whole Cthulhu thing is that you'll look through like a forbidden book or whatever and go insane because you just can't comprehend what was in there. She can do that without taking any penalties on her sanity. So that's another big thing. There are drawbacks and repercussions and stuff like that, but that's kind of her main thing, is that she can actually look at the forbidden elements of the universe and not go insane because she gained a fortified mind. Now it only goes so far as the strength of the demon she made a pact with, and the demon strength is not absolute. There are things that are far stronger and far older. Anyway, chat. Let's get down to business here. All right, so I got a Mother's Basement video. So we got for Freerin and talking about evil races, and now we're going to a Mother's Basement video called The Golden Age of Fantasy Anime. Now let's see what he has to say about this and why he's saying this. Pretty interesting, I thought. So let's check it out.
Forms to ever spring from the minds of man, there has never been a better vehicle for flights of fantasy than animation. For what is animation if not magic itself?
How can you just talk normally? Like just have an intro that's about something whimsical and about fantasy and sound this smug still. Like, it's like you're about to like drop the boots about to drop and you're about to talk about Trump or something. I mean, what kind of a voice and inflection is this? It feels very like bread tuber. I don't know, with a touch of Channel Awesome. I don't know. It just already sounds so smug. Is that just a natural state? Like I've held this state so long, it's become my smugness has become my natural state. Rasp7 says, in my fiction, there are two types of magics: light magic, which gives you the ability to manipulate the outer forces of the universe, and dark magic, which is gained through demonic forces. So I have this is how vampires are made. I have a whole other thing about how magic. There's two different kinds of magic other than like traditional versus arcana. There's some people who, you know how like the whole idea of consorting with demons is bad. There's a whole idea of consorting with eldritch entities is bad. Now there are ancient way back in humanity's history where some people would rebel earlier on against the traditional practices of magic, and so they directly consorted with eldritch demons or eldritch beasts and entities for the knowledge of magic, which resulted in essentially blood curses. So I don't know. Maybe I should be revealing too much, but there's traditional usage of magic, which is the witches and everything, where they worship at the altars of the idiot gods of nature, and then you have the arcanists who decide to take control of the force of nature for themselves, and then you have how magic, the Prometheus story of how magic, was exposed to humanity, the same way fire was. Prometheus brought fire to humanity. A story in this universe is there were people who ventured out to first tap into the magical essences of the world, the magical secrets. So there's another thing that's another thing to consider as well, is the first people to ever go after and learn the secrets behind magic and how to manipulate the forces of nature. So yeah, I could see that where you could have light magic that controls the natural course of magic that controls the universe, and then dark magic, which was attained through artificial means, we'll say.
Dead matter imbued with vivid life. Whole worlds that never were, wrought from pulped wood and baked silicone, rough clay and soft felt. It is raw imagination made manifest. So it has been since the very first cartoon was animated. Émile Cole's Phantasmagorie. In English, simply a fantasy. 700 frames of goofy little stick guys turning stuff into other stuff, bookended by shots of the animators.
Let's see. Alex Haley looks at the Fighter Chat says Fate has multiple different types of vampires, including one that doesn't need to drink blood at all. Yeah, there's actually different kind of vampires, like real quote unquote real life lore too. There was a segment I saw on History Channel about it actually. I think History Channel did a whole segment about energy vampires, where they'll just sap your energy instead of your blood. And then you have Chinese vampires. You have the Mexican vampires, things like that. Let's see, chat. Let's see. Got this. Fantastic. All right, everything's all set to go. Fantastic.
Hands intended to break down the barrier between that painted world and our own. When Tolkien ushered in the age of high fantasy some 30 years later, it was only a matter of time until someone animated that. Indeed, Walt Disney himself considered adapting The Hobbit or bringing aspects of it into fantasy.
All right, chat. We have unlocked another Smiling Friends stream this weekend, so Smiling Friends is locked away. However, we still have a little bit of ways to go. We're actually making some pretty good progress. But if we make it to 500 by the end of the stream, we'll unlock more Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, Generation X. But Parker says, LD, you remember the Weeping Angels from Doctor Who? Potential time. Yeah, they kind of sap your time. So you really couldn't get around that unless you had a time machine to just go elsewhere. Otherwise, they'll send you back in time and you have to live through that, right? So all the time that you would have had, they take. At Time Vampires
Asia just a year after its release, and over the following decades, a few other legendary animators, mostly Japanese, would take their own cracks at the material. But of course, many more took less.
If I says LD Lady Midnight is an animated series in the waiting. I think so too. It would work well as one. Especially because the core premise is it's just a mystery. It's a mystery, supernatural, occult mystery series. But with therefore I had to make a lot of lore. I had to make sure that the lore is hammered down so that the mysteries can make sense and be consistent, and also have a foundation to build off of. So that's kind of why I went so hardcore in the world building and the lore before I could really lay down a mystery.
Direct inspiration from the works of Tolkien and Lewis and Le Guin, not to mention Baum, Burroughs, and Carroll before them. The gritty, sexy, wondrous worlds of 80s pulp fantasy and
I don't know, Mother's Basement. Are you allowed to like that? I mean, look, look, where are her organs? Where are her clothes? Are you allowed to like this Mother's Basement?
Particular found themselves as at home in cell vinyl as they were on vinyl.
I mean, it's potentially 12 seasons, possibly. There's a lot of stuff I can do. I have a lot of ideas for stories, like a ton of them for Lady Midnight already.
album covers. And as Japan cemented its place as the global capital of this entire medium, many such worlds would flicker into being across their airwaves and find more permanent purchase on their video rental shelves in a time and place that would eventually come to be whispered of by otaku the world over as the peak of Western fantasy within the medium as a whole. Was it actually, though? Or are the best times still ahead of fantasy anime fanatics? Could we even perhaps be living through them right now? Yes! Sure, the analog aesthetic of retro anime is a bit better suited to the earthy, natural vibe you want out of high fantasy than modern digital animation. There's a reason studios have started to emulate that look in their fantasy works, and indie teams are even bringing the original techniques back. Go watch Dungeons and Television. It's free on YouTube, and it deserves a cajillion views. But aesthetics aside, the actual animation is more magical than ever. We've got Evan Call, Kevin Penkin, composers from Dark Souls and Chrono Trigger making the music. The writing and world building is built on all the successes and failures of those supposedly golden olden days. And there's just so much.
Hey, Worker says, what was the anime based on the creators' pair's own D&D camp? That was Lotus War, right? Oh, besides Lotus War. Goblin Slayer also did that, because Goblin Slayer was also inspired by the creators. I'm not sure it was D&D, but it was a fantasy tabletop game, and Goblin Slayer was like an NPC that everyone liked, so he made that NPC into a series.
Much of the good stuff to go around, not to mention all the isekai, though I understand for some people that is a huge knock against the current era. But I'll get into my own thoughts on that and the other fantasy anime that define this current period of plenty after a word from our sponsor. When you want to live out your own high fantasy adventure, a good gaming computer you like, or the Hell's Paradise one, will ever own today. The first question you gotta answer when assessing the state of fantasy anime is, should we count isekai? And personally, I don't see much reason not to. Traveling from one world to another is just another narrative.
Yeah, you would have to count isekai. It is still fantasy, even if it is like a guy goes to a fantasy world.
Hook after.
So, yeah, you can't really I don't think you would disqualify a fantasy show from being a fantasy show just because it has a guy from another world in it.
After all, albeit a
otherwise, like Narnia really couldn't be fantasy, right?
Very versatile and overused one. But for those who do believe the golden age of fantasy anime to be long bygone, the most common complaint tends to be they used to make real fantasy anime, not all this isekai crap. So clearly, it's not that cut.
That one's good. I talked about that one some weeks back. That one's good. I like that one. It kind of left off on a really big cliffhanger, I think, but it was pretty good. I quite like the world development, the story of the trajectory of the story. I thought it was pretty interesting. Also, it's a villainous anime, and it's a villainous anime I like.
Clearly, it's not that cut and dry for everyone, and I don't think the old heads are only discounting it.
Whoa, Debo Zero. With not even a message, it's dropping $100 instant Pillarman. So here we go, chat. Thank you very much, Debo Zero. Awesome. And of course, this does mean that you are the sponsor of, I would say, a few episodes. So check it out. Chat. So the great Debo Zero. Thank you very much. Very, very generous. Put your whole name, just in case. There we go. Boom. Produced by the great Debo 0110. Thank you very much, Debo Zero. Very, very, very generous. Fantastic. So here we go, chat. Instant Pillarman. Lower your volume or raise your volume, whatever you prefer. Loud clip incoming. All right, loud clip incoming. Pillarman. Instant Pillarman. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ay, 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 ay.
Oh yes, best chat. No, yes, thank you very much, Debo Zero coming in swinging. If you didn't add in a message or you sent it on accident or something, just let me know. And the tag me in the chat. I'll read out the message you wanted to send if you wanted to send a message. But thank you very much, Debo Zero. You're now the producer of today's episode and going into the weekend and next week. Thank you very much, Debo Zero. Very much appreciated. Fantastic generosity. Thank you very much. And of course, instant prelim. And that also got us up to 548, which gets us the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX stream as well. We'll do it all in one setting. I think that's kind of fun. The best way to go, right? I think it's the best way to go is we'll do it all in one setting. So we'll watch Smiling Friends and then we'll switch over to Yu-Gi-Oh! GX after a short intermission. I think that's been the best way to go because it's been more fun. It's more fun for me anyway. I think the chat likes it too. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Pellerman has been achieved. Pellerman has exactly been achieved. Thank you very much. All right, let's continue.
Because their humble collection of classics like Escaflowne, Ray Earth, Dunbine, 12 Kingdoms, Fushigi Yu.
I'm actually working on a new ending song inspired by Escaflowne a little bit.
El Hazard, Familiar of Zero, Inuyasha, Mar, and Monster Rancher gets just absolutely mauled.
Not really. I have to think about what like another threshold.
By all the great modern isekai. It's just not the vibe for some folks. Directly connecting your fantasy setting to the real world does highlight the unreality of the imagined one in ways that can be detrimental to the escapist immersion that we come to fantasy for. That doesn't bother me, obviously. I love Emilia. I mean, isekai.
Let's see. Really, Amelia?
In general.
Wait a minute. I know Amelia is a kind of the protagonist, like the love interest, but really Rem is the love interest, right? Rem is the one that's like, whoa, this is waifu material. Speaking of stretch goals, though, I spoke about artist, and I have decided to when we do launch Late at Midnight for real, we are going. It's going to be black and white, but I decided to make a full color stretch goal because, like, okay, well, people didn't like it to be black and white. They didn't really like it to be black and white. So I decided we're gonna go ahead and give the option for color. All right. And I gave my my artist the color scheme I want to go with, like the color palette I want to go with. So there will be an option for color, but we have to get there. That's gonna be the first stretch goal that we have when we launch the campaign is full color. I think that'd be a pretty good incentive. But I already paid for 2 pages to be colored so that you can see, so that when we do launch it, we can have some full colored pages already just so you can know what it's going to look like. So there we go. So that's speaking of stretch goals, the first stretch goal for Lady Midnight will be to make the book full color.
I mean, isekai in general, but I don't think I'll be making any isekai converts with.
Don't I know it? Well, the adding color is going to add a little bit more time in the creation because coloring is a big effort in of itself. And I know that because I did Dr. Alpha, Miracle Child, and Dead Man's Lullaby full color as well. It also adds a huge chunk to the cost of making the book, which is why I was like, okay, I really can't make it on the $25,000 budget because it's already the profit margin is already razor thin, right? Other than the creation of the book. So in order to ensure that even if something goes wrong, the money will be covered, I can make it full color, but I'm going to have to make it a stretch goal. I think it'd be a pretty fun stretch goal for the first goal. Alex Halo is a $5 super chat. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yes. And see. Alex says, we'll do Fate Strange Fake as a goal after Smiling Friends. It's a sequel to Fate Stay Night, and it has come waiver show in it. Maybe we could do that. I did like the show Fate Zero. Fate Zero is pretty cool when we did it back then. But I want one of the new goals to be once we're done with Smiling Friends, we might do Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0. So I think I can find that. I think that'd be a pretty good one. I've never actually seen Season 0. I've read Season 0, or the stories that were Season 0 in the manga, but I haven't seen Season 0. So it'd be pretty interesting.
This video, because it is, at the end of the day, just a vibes-based argument one way or another. Luckily, though, I don't have to, because back in the good old days, that's kind of what
my artist says, that it's, this is more of a manga. And There kind of is. It is kind of more of a manga-esque book, essentially especially because I'm using a lot of anime as references about how to do this kind of thing. And also Ghost in the Shell as a style, a lot of other animations as a style. When I put together for the personality for Lady Midnight, I described it to my artist as she has like the poise of Integra Van Helsing, like just complete confidence, really not really shakable. She might get surprised or shocked or whatever, but she's but she won't back down. She'll weather the storm. She has the stoicism of Freerin, just kind of part of her introverted personality, and then she also has the compassion of Katara. So those things together will kind of cobble together the personality lady of Midnight. She's very very confident. She'll face these bad guys with some, she might be afraid, but she'll still face them. It's the essential courage that you need to be a protagonist, essentially. And then she has the stoicism of Freerin because she's kind of introverted and is a deep thinker. It's kind of what helps her personality as a detective. And then she's a very compassionate person, very empathetic person. Which could be a double-edged sword, which is why she's so empathetic and compassionate. She decided it was a good idea to consort with a demon to have the power to save people, to save those that she loved. So it's that level. It's that level of compassion. But of course, that kind of led her down a wrong road. And then of course she's her main when she starts the story in this one, she is she should be in prison, but has been given a second chance, and that's why she works as a detective underneath this mage family, which are very nice to her. I mean, they're basically friends. But they said like it's so manga influenced because a lot of the backbone subconsciously came from Helsing, the manga Helsing, a lot of it. It's Christopher Tomlinson. Actually, the fighter says just hit the damn button next time. We don't need the warning, you dweeb. Everyone's the pacing of your show. Well, people don't, it's tradition at this point, I think, to give you a little warning. Anyway, Alex Edition 5 is Fate Stay Night sequel is Fate Hollow Ataraxia, which hasn't been animated yet. The author just randomly decided what show he wanted to animate first. I mean, I guess it makes sense with how Fate is structured. Anyway,
that many fantasy anime, period, let alone good ones or even finished ones if we're talking OVAs.
It's kind of true, I guess. Yeah, Cyber 6. Cyber 6 is a pretty interesting show. I do like that. But I don't think it had any influence on Lady Midnight, really. Except for, being from the 90s. Or 90s punk, I should say.
I mean, sure, over the years, they got the Slayers.
Oh, Slayers, I heard, was pretty good, actually. Slayers art is really, really good. It has, like, a really cool, like, lawful good protagonist in terms of, like, the male paladin guy.
Berserk, Nadia, Secret of Blue Water, Vampire Hunter D, Dragon Quest Dino Daiboken, Dragon Half, Dragon Pink, Popolo Kois, Sorceress Stabber Orphan, Mahojin Guru Guru, Royal Space Force, all them classic Ghiblis, Scrapped Princess, FMA03, Claymore, and some other post-2000 stuff, depending.
Oh yeah, Claymore, another fun one I like. Claymore is really good. I like Claymore. I recommend Claymore. It's a fun one. I really enjoyed Claymore.
When exactly you stop counting. But today, we've got Freerin, Witch Hat Atelier, Wistoria, Wand and Sword, Sentenced to be a Hero, Gachiakuta, Dorohedoro, Clevitas.
Sentenced to be a Hero is pretty interesting because it kind of felt like it was going to be stupid, but it turned out to be really, really good. It's like a fantasy Suicide Squad. That's kind of what the premise is, and it's pretty interesting.
Leviathan, Seventh Prince, Demons of the Shadow Realm, From Old Country Bumpkin to Master Swordsman,
Shad likes that one, by the way. Shad really likes that one, the Old Country Bumpkin to Master. He says not only is it a fun story and very wholesome, it's also pretty accurate swordsmanship-wise.
Swordsman, Two Perfect Saint, Agents.
Like he was like, whoa, finally, it's an anime did it. They did a really good job portraying swordsmanship. Also, Two Perfect Saint is really funny because it is about Mary Sue. It's called Two Perfect Saint, and there's a sister there, right? So there's a sister, and then there's like the main character who's like the Two Perfect Saint, who's like really awesome at everything. Her job is to be too awesome at everything, but she gets sold off to another country in order to pay off some debt. by the evil prince. Like she gets sold off by the evil prince, so that I guess for revenge or something. I forget exactly why, but it's basically the prince is like super duper evil and is just cartoonishly evil, and sold off the main character to another country to pay off debt. And meanwhile, the little sister, he wants to marry the little sister because she smiles. That's literally why, because the little sister is also trying to be a saint, and he likes her better because she smiles. Meanwhile, the Two Perfect Saint is really good at everything, but she doesn't ever really smile very much. Literally, it's like that's the reason. But the sister finds out about this, but she's not she's still a woman, so she doesn't really confront him directly. She wants to get super revenge on him, so she starts planning things out, and she wants to destroy him socially and everything. But one of the funniest parts of the series was that she gets confronted by, or she gets approached by like a ninja or something like that from the kingdom that her sister was sold to, and she has this like cool friendship speech. Like, I'm going to do my best no matter what the situation. But it's a really funny one because it's very violent. She's like, I'm going to do my best no matter what's the situation, and which includes murdering the prince and seeing his blood flow. So like this cute, like innocent, anime girl, and she's talking about how she's going to sadistically torture the prince and do her best when she does it. It's one of the funniest things I've seen in any anime.
Perfect Saint, Agents of the Four Seasons, The Daughter of the Demon Lord is Too Kind, 'Tis Time for Torture Princess, The Warrior Princess and Barbaric King, Champignon Witch, Secrets of the Silent Witch, Once Upon a Witch's Death, The Invisible Man and His Soon-to-Be Wife, Pass the Monster Meat Milady, and probably some other good stuff I'm forgetting, because all that is just the better than decent non-isekais without any explicit game mechanics from the last year. If we go back to just when I started my channel a decade ago, not even the start of the isekai boom, the top tier highlights alone outnumber the retro fantasies that are even watchable. I mean, back then the pickings were so slim. Record of Lodos War is considered an all-timer, and I mean, sure, it's got the vibe, it's got Best Elf, it drops a dungeon and a dragon in episode 1. The assignment was clearly understood. But as for the quality of the dungeons, they barely touched Don Machi, let alone Don Meshi, and the stories like your average D&D campaign podcast, but anime.
Well, that's the funny thing about it. The main character is beloved by everybody. Everyone loves her except the prince. And only because she doesn't smile. That's it. But other than that, she's beloved by everybody. Carter Ketchel says, dude, Two Perfect Saint has got sold off because she wouldn't smile. The prince is incredibly shallow. It's still minded. Yeah, the prince is like an idiot. Like really, really stupid. But that's literally the reason, is because like she has the little sister has a better personality. So he sold off the older sister because they were engaged. So he had to get rid of her so that he can go after the little sister next. Instead, because she has a more feminine personality as opposed to the older sister who's very like closed off.
The original novels sold mainly on the novelty of being Japan's first high-profile tabletop RPG replay series, and the anime's acclaim, I think, comes mainly from being darn near the only thing that took a serious attempt at scratching that particular epic high fantasy itch so directly when it came out. Berserk was a little too scary, Slayers was too funny, Dino Daiboken was... Actually, that one's pretty good too. But now we've got ReZero, Bookworm, and Mushoku Tensei. And if you don't like isekai, cool, check out Clevitas with its 3 men and a baby take on the Ring Bearer quest.
I think Smudboy mentioned that Clevitas was a really good one.
Ranking of Kings with its deceptively whimsical, politically fraught world. Or Freerun with its... everything. We've got more flavors of...
You liking Freerun? Are you allowed to like Freerun? I thought they had like a terrible take on demons or whatever. I thought that was total Nazis or something. Are you allowed to like Freerun? Mother's Basement?
Racially diverse fairy tale world than we know what to do with these days. And that's not even getting into fairy tale, which we won't be doing. I'm not personally a huge fan, but vibes aside, I do think Mashima's writing is around the same level as Lodos, if not a little tighter, and that's kind of my point. The old school high watermark for traditional fantasy anime goodness, at least among old heads who don't know Dino Daiboken 91, is par for the course in the so-called isekai era. If you want an action-adventure romp with that classic swords and sorcery, Dungeons and Dragons aesthetic, you are spoiled for choice. And if you're open to more exotic vibes, you've got Magi, Yona of the Dawn, the heroic legend of Arslan, FMA Brotherhood, a much more comprehensive adaptation of Hunter x Hunter than the 90s one, and of course, the most sprawling fantasy epic of any medium or era, One Piece. Though, of course, then we do start getting into where the line is between fantasy and magical girl shonen battle type dealies, because most of them do fit into the broadest definition of fantasy, particularly urban fantasy, but they're not necessarily what you picture when some guy says, I want to watch a fantasy anime. You recommend Sailor Moon or Yu Yu Hakusho to that guy, it feels like sticking a square peg in a round hole. But then say Cardcaptor Sakura or Dragon Ball, those are a little more squirkly, and Ray Earth and Claymore are straight up perfect spheres. It's another vibe check at the end of the day. Everyone's going to draw their line somewhere a little different, but I do think there's got to be a line somewhere, because a maximalist definition would include My Hero Academia, and ain't no one who's craving a spot of Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings sitting down for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or WandaVision. We could get into a whole Calvin's dad conversation about what urban fantasy is Percy Jackson and what's Sky High, but you kind of just know it when you see it. And even when it comes to the most fantastical of shonen adventures, I do think most people are seeing something a little different there. When folks talk about the modern fantasy anime resurgence, One Piece is almost never in that conversation. And despite
in fact, it says, absolutely not. Mishima is passable and more accessible to the new audiences. Lotus is superior on all accounts. I don't think I've seen those. But I do know Lotus War is pretty funny and pretty fun. I started it. I haven't finished it, but I stepped into it. It's pretty good, pretty fun series.
despite being the big three anime, it's never really been.
Like, is he even allowed to like Lotus War? Because they're the main crew in the beginning. They're all really racist to each other, but they still respect each other, which I don't think could be done today, right? Like this, the West anyway. And obviously, they could do that in Japan, but in the West, I'm pretty sure there would be no way they could have a show where everyone's racist towards each other, but respect each other. At least, I don't think so.
In a contender for the fantasy big three. Not that there's any real debate as to what those are. I don't even have to tell you what anime I'm talking about. They're the reason we're having this conversation right now. And not just in the sense that I waited for all of them to be out so that I'd have enough footage for the video. Yes, anime studios are making the most fantasy stuff they've ever made right now. And not just because they're making more anime in general. It made up 46% of all the anime released in 2024, 29% if you don't count isekai. And even with the market getting a wee bit oversaturated, it is still the most in-demand genre.
Little Witch Academia is pretty good too. It's pretty fun. Obviously, there's some parallels here with like a little bit of Hogwarts. That they have like a Snape character who's not really hateful towards the main character, just strict. Oh, actually, she's more like McGonagall actually. But this one is interesting because essentially, if the main character was like Neville Longbottom, because like what's her name, Atsuko is she's like an idiot and can't do anything because all of her magic was like I think drained from her as a kid or something like that by Chariot. But it was an accident, but it's kind of what happened though. But it is pretty interesting. They have a pretty cool cast of characters. Season 1 is all about Atsuko trying to like fit in with the school. And then season 2 is less about Atsuko and her crew and more about Atsuko kind of affecting the other students at the academy. And see.
Of anime. In objective, purely economic terms, this is the golden age. But regardless of what the numbers say,
Magical Muscle and Magic, that's another good one. That was a direct parody of Harry Potter.
You're not going to agree with that unless it feels like a golden age to you. And that feeling is only going to come from having a seemingly endless supply of new top-tier shit to watch. In objective, purely economic terms, the golden age of Shonen Jump, the period when the magazine saw its fastest growth and its position atop the manga market was untouchable, stretched from 1980 to 1996, the start of Dr. Slump to the end of Slam Dunk. Once Toriyama and Inoue bowed out, circulation plummeted plummeted almost immediately. And while One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach did slow the bleeding, they couldn't stop it, let alone reverse it. But if you ask the average millennial or Gen Z shonen head outside of Latin America what the golden age of Jump was, he'll almost certainly say the Big Three era, because the impact of those three anime hitting Western TV back to, oh no, 4Kids, permanently changed his brain chemistry. Naruto and or Bleach gave him...
I've never seen Slam Dunk. Is it... I know it's like obviously a sports anime, but is it pretty good? Like what is it about other than basketball? I assume because of the human drama and everything. That's what usually gets the spice and the meat of a sports anime, is a human drama.
Him and all his friends their first taste of shonen, and once they started craving a second hit, Bleach and or Naruto were right there waiting for them, alongside Yu-Gi-Oh!, Shaman King, Hitman.
I got to learn that to make videos with no evidence, just say things and just have nothing to back it up. That make things so much easier. Without having to look for like evidence or things to back up my claims. I mean, that's so much easier.
And Reborn, Death Note, and of course the older but still new to them stuff like Dragon Ball and Yu Yu Hakusho, as those series and One Piece were waiting to suck them even deeper in. And no matter how deep they went, it always felt like the well of good shonen shit would never dry up. Each of those anime was great individually.
Okay, what's he saying exactly? All right, it's enough. He's not saying anything. He's just talking about something. Anyway, speaking of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, let's get to it, chat. All right, so here's a video by Mangacommon about going over the rival Bastion from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and Bastion is awesome. I really like Bastion, at least when he was first introduced. Apparently he gets ruined later. We haven't got to that yet. But for now, in my view, Bastion is pretty cool. I think he could hang out with Yugi and Joey, in fact. But let's check it out, chat. How to ruin a character. Apparently he gets ruined along the way.
Hey, I can pick up where you left off. Together we'll show the web.
Dude, put that thing away. They're like children here.
As a YouTuber, I've noticed a lot of things in my time being on here, and the one video that really made my channel blow up, at least in my opinion, was my video on rivals. In that, I talked about the right and wrong way to make a rival-based character using various examples. It was a fun video at the time, and while I hold that video in my heart, it really isn't my best work. Mainly because rival characters are fascinating to me, and I feel like...
And the enemy acquisition too says he's saying you live in a golden age. Yes. That's kind of in the title though. I thought he was going to like talk about why and what it feels like and what's the best ones. He kind of pointed out to some series, but I was thinking like, oh, he's definitely going to go into some series and then buckle down and like kind of talk about them and why exactly they are so good, or what makes them a golden age, or go into the idea behind like what makes a golden age and why this is one. But he's just saying things. It's like, okay, well, your title kind of summed it up.
Do a much better job at talking about rival-based characters in their own individual videos. Hence why, well, this video. Because for one reason or another, rivals, much like any other character, can be ruined. And I figured to kick off this potential series, let's talk about one of my favorite ruined rivals, Misawa of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
Good thing I'm well equipped.
Are you?
I've covered a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX over the course of many years on this channel. I don't really feel like giving too much of a synopsis on this world again, but here's what you need to know. Duel Monsters is a popular card game in the world. So popular, in fact, there are dedicated academies to teach people how to play the game or do things in affiliation with it. The main Duel Academy has a dorm system, showcasing a student's skill level. Alice Blue being the top dogs, Raw Yellows being the middle, and the lowest students stuck in Slifer Red. Our main character, Yuki Judai, is a red student and is effectively a slacker to the point where he sleeps in class, eats in class, and pretty much kicks Duel Monster's ass. Got it?
Not a word.
Yeah, you're probably playing this in the background while on your draw tablet anyway, so what do I care? We have the basics ready, so let's get into the actual character about this video. Daichi Misawa, otherwise known as Bastion Misawa in the English dub. He is a first-year Raw Yellow student, someone who got the highest marks in the written exams and did so well he managed to get into the Raw Yellow dorm in his first year. Misawa is effectively a studious character, someone who prefers to actually think about his strategies and prepare accordingly for matches. He'll often be found working on deck formulas, to an obsessive level, and he'll write on baseball bats and the walls and ceilings of his dorm room. And while Bastion is a teenager who has a more romanticized version of him, which we'll talk about later for the most part, Bastion tends to be a lot more serious than the rest of the cast. Not saying he's the straight man of the group, but he's supposed to be the smart guy. And here's why Bastion is a great rival. He's effectively the opposite of the main character. Whereas Judai is a natural-born great duelist, Misao is a representation of getting skill through dedication. Bastion is the kind of duelist where if you beat him once, good.
Right, here we go. Bastion. Bastion is cool. This is the first time we really get to see him, which doesn't take place for a while, but the first time I really get to see him, right? He's just opening his, like, he gets his deck trashed. It gets thrown into the water by Chaz. And then he's like, oh, we can still duel. I have like 20 decks, bro. It's like, wow, this guy's a badass. I like this guy. He's awesome.
On you.
But speaking of Chaz, so our other conversation about, antagonist decay, villain decay, applies to Chaz. Because, Chaz in the beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX is kind of pushed forth as like the ultimate rival. Like he got top marks in dual prep school or whatever it's called. But anyway, he was like this awesome guy, and he got into Obelisk Blue, right away. He's like super duper awesome. He's like the guy to beat. And then like Jaden almost beats him in a duel. And then but it gets called off by, I think, Alexis, because she's like, oh yeah, they're coming to check on us, and run away or else you'll get in trouble. Right? Okay. So then after that, Crowler kind of is able to steal all the rare cards of the day and give him all the Chaz. So when Yu-Gi-Oh, no, not Yu-Gi-Oh, but when what's his name? Jaden. When Jaden is finally able to officially challenge Chaz, where there's no one's going to stop him, Chaz not only faces him, but faces him with like a souped up deck that was like really like enhanced that day, that morning. Right. And then Jaden still wins against him. Jaden still beats him. So, okay, Chaz defeated. And then we have a moment of, does Jaden beat him again, or does Chaz lose to someone else? But anyway, Chaz was already lost to Jaden, and then he lost to Bastion. Bastion comes in swinging and defeats Chaz, and then after that, Chaz just runs away. So Chaz already got demoted by Crowler. Like he's no longer Crowler's minion. And then I think that the last hope for Chaz to keep his top spot, right, is to defeat Bastion. And he fails at that too, because Bastion is awesome. Then that's gonna result in him running away out of the story for a while. Which makes sense because the thing is with Kaiba, the reason why Kaiba is still awesome is because, first of all, he's awesome outside the card game. But second of all, because Kaiba will never lose to anybody except Yugi. That's it. So they can't really have him lose to anyone except Yugi. Yugi is the only one allowed to beat Kaiba, because if anyone else beats Kaiba, he will suffer villain decay. So the whole battle between Kaiba and Joey that they have at the end of Battle City, or towards the end, not at the end, but towards the end, Joey has to lose against Kaiba. He can never win against Kaiba, because the moment Kaiba loses to someone else besides Yugi, he's done as an antagonist. He'll lose all of his credibility. Kaiba must remain awesome except for Yugi. That's kind of how it goes. But so the same applied here to Chaz. Like Chaz is like their knockoff Timu Kaiba. And so even has a yacht and stuff like that. He's like rich and stuff too. But the moment he lost to Bastion, he's done. Like he has lost all credibility as a rival for Jaden. So he does have to run off and either change or stay out of the story. He could no longer stay in the story and remain a viable rival for Jaden. So yeah, keep that in mind. That's kind of where we go with what I mean by villain decay. But the writers apparently knew that was it. Like he lost to Bastion, so he needs to change. There's something needs to be altered about him to make him a viable villain again.
If you don't change your style, he'll learn a strategy to counter you. You don't need to be.
Yeah, Kaiba lost to Pegasus, but in that duel, Pegasus had like a Millennium item, a Millennium Eye. So it's not really like a one-on-one fair battle. Like Pegasus could only win against Kaiba because of his Millennium Eye. So, and also Pegasus is also really awesome. That's kind of the whole thing about him, is like he's a super duper genius. But if Kaiba starts losing to like Joey and other guys, besides like these top tier, perfectly curated opponents, then that outside of they have a huge advantage, right? Yugi's the main character and has Atem to help him, and then Pegasus has it's Millennium Eye. Kaiba that has no Millennium items. He's just rich, but him losing to Pegasus, it makes sense because of the Millennium item. Like, you need like it doesn't really bring him down because the people he loses to have these like insane level bonuses that help them overcome whatever Kaiba does. And then every other duel that Kaiba is in is this insane victory. Like he's up against insane odds and will just win with insane level strategies and plays. It's pretty awesome. Let's see.
Him either. If there's enough data about you for him to prepare, he'll comb through random cards in order.
I think he does encounter ties. It's not very often he gets a tie, but I think he gets a tie against the guy in the Orichalcos arc. So he technically didn't lose, and then later on he beats him. But technically he didn't lose. As long as he doesn't lose, you can have a tie. But as long as he doesn't lose, he can remain viable.
Find a way to beat.
Just don't have him tie too many times either.
Yeah, this is highlighted where we see a duel set up between Judai and Misawa, where Misawa came up with an interesting theory on how to defeat Judai's fusion-based elemental hero deck, and that was to target polymerization, which at the time was one of the only ways to fusion summon in the game. While Judai did have other means to fuse his monsters like Fusion Gate or Miracle Fusion, polymerization was Judai's most used card in his.
I was like, who's Judai? I was thinking, is this like the mentor from Digimon? Isn't his name Judai also? But yeah, that's like Jaden's actual name, right? His actual name is Jaden. Leaf says Kaiba also has it accomplished outside of the card game. He won't lose at. Yeah, he won. He won't lose at life. Yeah, Kaiba is also like this awesome trillionaire. It's outside of the game. So there's also that. He's still a pretty viable character outside of the card game, but even then, he loses big time twice, or to two people, which is one is Yugi, the main character of the show, and one is Pegasus. But Pegasus again has a Millennium Eye and was kind of like just able to just read all of his strategies, and like how do you defend against that without a Millennium item of your own? And then Yugi is the main character with assistance of a Tim helping him out, and even then, it's still every single time they duel, it is a like razor thin battle where they're just getting the edge on each other with razor thin margins. And Yugi barely wins, I think, in each one.
Deck, so it wasn't a bad idea to go after that key card that would allow Judai to access his stronger monsters. And while Misawa did ultimately lose that duel, it had a lot of potential, and it did serve as a good lesson for him that you can't calculate every aspect of.
The other bum says Kaiba lost to Pegasus and also the Virtual Boy. Hey, I don't think he lost to what's his name? Noah. There's Noah. I don't think technically speaking, I don't think he lost to him. Noah just turned him into stone for no reason. Because in that duel, Yugi steps in, uses, I think, Kaiba's deck and goes off of Kaiba's life points. I think Kaiba had like 100 life points or something like that at the end. So he technically didn't lose against Noah. Noah just cheated and turned him to stone. And Yugi stepped in to step into Kaiba's place.
A duel, and you need to be able to adapt when things don't go as planned. That's actually a pretty good lesson for people in general, that even if you plan for things, there's always going to be unexpected wrenches thrown into the mix that can and will mess things up for you. So you have to be flexible to deal with them. Now, if GX were a perfect show, then Judai would learn you can't just rely on your natural skills all the time, and some studying is necessary. And Misawa would learn that flexibility is necessary in dueling and life. To top this off, a character that was established early on, Manjome, or Chaz Princeton.
So was it Jaden kind of reminds me of Atsuko from Little Witch Academia, because they're both really, really obsessed and invested in the thing that they're studying, but they don't want to study. It's like Atsuko really wants to learn magic and be a witch, but she doesn't really want to do the studying to be a witch. She was always falling asleep in class and like skipping out her homework and stuff like that because she doesn't want to do the groundwork. She just wants to get to the cool magic stuff. And then Jaden just wants a duel. He always like arrives late for tests and stuff. So it's kind of funny to have that the protagonist that really is interested in the subject matter, but doesn't want to do any of the academic work.
Duel Academy is toast!
He was set to be a rival to Judai as well, and he was an Obelisk Blue, the best of the best. Both Judai and Misawa managed to defeat the character in the early episodes of the series. It showed that both Judai and Misawa were on the same playing field. You had the grounds of a very prominent rival character, and someone who effectively was an opposing philosophy of said main character. That should have been the makeup for a great rival. Too bad the writers hate him for some reason. What's that reason, you may ask? He wasn't Judai. So, what happened here? To explain this, we need to talk about the plot change in the first season. Basically, the rise of the Seven Stars, or Shadow Riders. This was a group that was looking to unleash a trio of dangerous cards that would destroy the world of duel monsters, and, you know, basically bring Armageddon to the Yu-Gi-Oh! World. At least that's what the group believes at the time. 7 duelists were given keys to protect the gates from being activated. They lose a duel, they lose a key. One of the gates gets open, and there's some kind of punishment for the duelist. From what we've seen, they're effectively like the Shadow games in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, sealing someone's soul into a card, turning him into a straw.
And see, anime I commission the $5 super chats. They learn only by doing what's fun for them. Classroom setting teaches them nothing, which is why they appear lazy. It's kind of they set it up. It's just kind of funny that they're both kind of that. It's like an archetype, right? It's like an the protagonist is really intrigued and interested in doing the subject matter, but not really interested in doing the groundwork. Now with Atsuko, it's kind of like, well, you kind of need to know the groundwork, right? You kind of have to know the theory to build your craft and everything. With Jaden, he's already good at dueling. Like, why do you? He doesn't really need to go to the school, right? He's already good at dueling. He really beat a doctor. Like he beat a. It's like if Atsuko came in first day and then outwitched one of the teachers. Like this. He's already good at dueling. So I can tell. It's kind of okay that he's kind of sleeping through all the tests and everything. Like how bad a student can he be? He's already like a master duelist, more or less. But Atsuko, on the other hand, is like, you know, what you're trying to learn magic as a craft. You kind of need to know the theory. Zora Basic Flash says, are there Reddit arcanists? Reddit arcanists in Reddit? Like, no, I don't think so. What's a Reddit arcanist? In Lady Midnight?
Doll, yada yada yada, you get the point. Judai and Misawa are each one of the 7 protectors of the keys, and eventually Misawa gets the duel. To add a little context, up to this point, 2 of the 7-star members were defeated, and 2 of the keys for the gates were taken, with Judai being the one to defeat both of the previous members. Keep that in the back of your mind for now, it'll come up later. Anywho, a lot of students and faculty have gone missing, and a Coliseum has appeared on the Academy grounds almost over the course of a week, and it's up to the group to investigate and find out what the hell is going on. Eventually, it'll be Misawa's turn to face off against the Amazon Tanya. And if I'd be remiss if I didn't include this gem of a line in the dub.
What are you doing? A man's work. A man's work? My, they must have been running very short on men.
Emotional damage.
That is one of the sickest burns I've heard all day. Anyway, it turns out the Amazoness Tanya is behind this, and she's one of the 7 stars and choosing to fight against Misawa. And how does that go?
Don't worry, this isn't a shadow game.
Beg your pardon?
I don't want your soul, I want you, big boy.
Oh.
I guess we know where our kids are going to get their smarts from then.
What? Our kids?
Imagine us together. 24/7. My, I wonder what that'd be like, don't you?
We are enemies. Run!
Is she typecasted as the flirty female antagonist? And see, no more Manlix or 2 less for chat says, I mean, that is the Reddit atheist arcanist. Oh no. So I guess there technically could be like atheist arcanist. So you don't have to technically have a religion. I didn't think about Reddit level atheists. I didn't think about that. But in terms of like the view on magic, possibly.
During this duel, but afterwards, we'll be betrothed to each other.
Madam, that is a teenager. Anyway, Misawa loses to Tanya, and then...
Bastion! What happened? Wait, she you? That's right. I'm crushed.
You're not crushed, you're lucky.
So it's up to Judai to defeat Tanya. I don't know how to explain this next part, so I'll let this clip speak for itself.
What the fuck?
Tanya?
Is that you?
Farewell, Bastion.
Well then,
She just turned into a tiger?
I guess that this is it.
Boy, Bastion, you sure know how to pick 'em.
Out of pocket for that shit. Way out of pocket. What do you gain from that?
I want to point out there's nothing wrong with Misawa actually losing this match. Winning and losing is a natural part of any sort of game, and while I'm goofing on the actual details of the duel, it's not the biggest issue. At least, not on the surface. No, the duel actually signifies the decline of Misawa, not just as a rival, but as a character. I will preface this part of the video by saying that this isn't an issue with just Misawa, but rather pretty much every character in the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX anime that isn't named Judai. And that issue is, if they're not the main character, they don't actually matter. It's a bit of a problem in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime series where most of the actual development and focus is on the main character. And yeah, Captain Obvious moment, that's kind of the point of a main character. They're supposed to be the focus, but that doesn't mean they should be able to steal everything. This is also not helped by the fact that Yu-Gi-Oh! GX has a very bloated cast of characters. I'm not talking about the one-ups that show up like Little Balowski or the Tarzan Man.
Oh yeah, it's really like this guy was like a nerd and he went away for like a year and became a Jack Tarzan man. And this whole thing is not how strong he is or whatever. This whole episode is like you being able to draw a card really well. So he practiced on like the sandwiches, like where like this, they have like a big tray of sandwiches. They're all different, and the idea is to get the egg sandwich. And he got so good at drawing things randomly that he could get the egg sandwich every time. How that's a skill, I don't know. It kind of feels like cheating. But I guess it technically is like a Tim skill, the heart of the cards, where you could just like know what you're going to draw next. And that's his whole episode.
What the fuck? It's a major issue that I have with the series, and I think at one point I really want to make a dedicated video talking about that issue. If you want to see that video, please like the video and put down in the comments, get your game on. We get 5k likes and I'll gladly make that video a priority. Now, enough of my shilling for likes and such. What are we talking about here? You see, after the duel with Tanya, Misawa never really duels again until episode 82. If you want an idea of what I'm talking about, Misawa duels Tanya in episode 36. So we've got about 46 episodes of a gap. Though on the fact that aside from off-screen duels or incomplete duels, Bastion only gets about 4 actual duels in the entire series. And that's due in part to the fact that Judai pretty much gets away with almost every single duel.
Bastion only gets 4 duels? That's pretty insane.
In the series, and also due to the fact that in Season 2, we get a few new characters. But let's focus on the lack of duels part a little bit. Fun fact, 5 out of the 7 stars were defeated by Judai. And to me, I feel like it's a bit of a missed opportunity. I'm not saying you can't have Misawa lose to Tanya, but we had another duelist, Abydos III, who really isn't all that great of a duelist. He's a spoiled brat of a pharaoh who basically got his undefeated record by beating his servants. Honestly speaking, it's a character who you could replace with pretty much anything or have anyone duel. He's a nothing burger. I guess what I'm asking is, why not have the guy who's actually taking the time to learn strategies and the in and outs of the game duel the guy and win? Also to point out, when you look at the silhouettes of the 7 stars in the beginning of the arc, you don't see Abydos in there.
How embarrassing.
Now, I know there's going to be an argument against this idea, and that's the whole 7 stars plot was a falsehood, and it turns out the big bad was looking for a duelist that was essentially strong enough to duel in order to fully revive the 3 phantom demons to get his youth back. The keys could have been summoned and unlock the cards whenever he wanted. It was mostly just to find a duelist good enough to pull this off. Now, I say that because before that happened, pretty much the other key holders, Asuka and Manjomi, who did win their duels, got wiped out against the last of the 7 stars, Amnail. You could have easily done the same thing with Misawa if he won his duel against Tanya. But if wishes were fishes, then I have a mackerel in my sock. What really actually happened was that Misawa effectively became a joke character being put into the background more and more. This was in part due to the lack of actual duels that he had, but also because he was effectively replaced by other characters. 2 notable ones are Tyranno Kenzan, or Hasselbear in the English dub, and the other is Edo Phoenix.
Hear me, Schmaden?
I'm not going to get into it, but as you can imagine...
Oh, I got him. Here, called it like Stan Darsh. Come on, Schmaden.
Imagine with the focus pulled away from Misawa because these 2 showed up. And I think that really sucks about that. The writers knew this and actively used this. Misawa was distanced from his friends, and when a new cult appeared on the island, the Society of Light, pretty much everyone except Misawa was targeted to join. He's made out to be ostracized and outcasted, despite the fact that he was once a top duelist at the academy, to the point where he basically throws his last duel against Manjomi so he can join the cult.
Bastion, you want to prove yourself? Well, now's your chance. Who's this jewel? And join my society.
This is actually a scene I both love and hate. I love that the main antagonist basically had to target Misawa's insecurities instead of fighting him head-on, which gave the implication that Misawa was strong enough to be a threat, and as this duel proves, he could have won against Manjome but chose not to. Why? Because preying on Misawa's fears to manipulate him is actually pretty awesome, and I'm not gonna lie, this scene just goes hard.
Finally, my talent will be acknowledged and admired.
We love you, Bastion. You're awesome.
Thank you. Thank you all.
I got the jacket.
Bastion?
It's a moment where the context before this, it makes sense, since Bastion was being edged out from his friends and even the supposed enemies in the series, and preying on being ignored is actually a pretty interesting idea for a story. The problem is, though, is what come after, and what comes after is...
Like the butterfly sheds his cocoon, I must shed my
What? What is happening?
past. Professor Eisenstein,
He's like strips naked and runs out?
I want to be your pupil.
Thank God his pants stayed on.
I think so, yeah. That's Kaiba's voice, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much that. Misawa doesn't do anything when he gets recruited into Society of Light. Hell, he doesn't even leave the society because of him dueling like it happens with the other main characters who got brainwashed. He basically just watches Judai duel an Einstein-based duelist, then gets inspired to leave, throwing his pants to the wind and following the scientific duelist in his footsteps. And this goes back to what I said about Judai.
I hate that fucking bitch.
Judai gets about 99% of the important duels, with the spotlight barely ever moving away from him. Again, this is an issue with most of the cast, but I feel that Misawa gets...
At least Yu-Gi-Oh had Yu-Gi-Oh had Joey, who took some of the brunt away from Yugi. He didn't have to do everything, right? And sometimes even Kaiba did some of the heavy lifting, although he did it for his own reasons.
The short end of the stick here, since when season 2 rolls around, the people who claim to be his friends pretty much forgot he existed, and even when he joins the evil cult, the writers don't do anything with him. Most that happens is he dyes his hair white. And that's it. The sad thing is, it makes sense why Misawa would join the Society of Light, because this is something that can happen, where people feel like they're ignored, feeling like the world is leaving them behind. It's something that can and has happened, where people join up with the wrong crowd because they just want to be accepted. But he basically just disappears and only shows up in season 3 and not even to really have a full-on duel either in that. The problem with Misawa and pretty much a lot of the characters in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX is that there's just supplementary material to aiding Judai's own development. Sure, we get some development for characters in the show that aren't named Judai, but a lot of it gets pushed to the side or ignored eventually. GX had a cast that was way too big and kept getting bigger with every season, which unfortunately the writers didn't know how to handle it, and it sucks because
this is the trouble of having way too many characters. At least when you had Yu-Gi-Oh, it was just Yugi and Joey, and then you had the Yugi, Joey, and Kaiba, the main trio. Essentially, it's kind of what it becomes, and then you have Taya and Tristan. And then of course Duke Devlin and Serenity, kind of like taking up the rear. But mainly it was Yugi, Kaiba, and Joey. All right, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX has like Jaden, Cyrus, Bastion, Chaz, Zane, Alexis, and Crowler, and a few more of the people that they kind of added later, I think. It's a lot. It's a lot to juggle.
Misawa was hit especially hard because the series went out of its way to set up a really powerful rival.
We had Chumley. Like we had an episode about Chumley where he had to duel his dad. So they could stay at the academy that doesn't really want to be at in the first place.
Between him and Judai at the start of the entire series. Knowing how the internet is, I'm sure there are people who are going to be countering everything I said with Misawa's inclusion in Season 3. For those who don't know, Season 3 of GX is pretty much a really hard turn into the more out there stuff. You've got the entire academy being transported to another dimension, you got a transvestite dual spirit looking to show their love to Judai by hurting him in the worst possible ways, but we've already talked about it a few times on the channels, so what you need to know for this video is the following. It's thanks to Misawa that the academy was able to get back to the human world by doing the right math and even managing to contact the people in the human world. And Misawa also smacks some sense into Judai, basically getting Judai to realize that there's a darkness inside him that he has to use in order to defeat Bell. Some people have said this is a good and probably the best they could have done with Misawa's character. I personally disagree and will look at anyone with a side-eye view of things as you say that to me. The problems with that are twofold. One, Misawa has effectively turned to a plot device to figure out how things to get moving in the plot, and two, it's kind of too late for me to actually give him credit for that. It's hard for me to actually explain this, but I think the best way to get into this is also point out that at the end of all this, he decides to stay in the alternate dimensions, which is, funnily enough, with Tanya.
I'm going to stay behind with Tanya. Too many cooks in the kitchen and all that.
What the fuck? He got that tiger waifu, I suppose. So, does Misawa not have a family to get back to? He's a teenager, as a reminder. He doesn't have any family.
I guess so. Is that what happens to Bastion? He kind of joins a cult and then goes off with his tiger waifu
in the original dimension anymore. And this leads into the big issue here as well. Misawa doesn't have a backstory, which is super weird because there's one thing that GX isn't lacking in, it's backstories for its characters. I'm not saying you need a backstory for every single character, since characters can be interesting on their own without knowing that, but GX pretty much makes sure that almost every main character has a backstory to some degree, and even some side characters only show up once or twice. And most of the time, the characters that get their backstories...
Chumley shows up quite a few times. He has a backstory, yeah. I heard he leaves. He's not that useful. It's kind of another Cyrus. You really need Cyrus and Chumley.
Fleshed out in the season they're debuted, with Misawa being the biggest exception. Hell, even minor characters like Martin, Ray, hell, even some of the one-off duelists got backstory dives. It really puts things into perspective when you consider that the writers wrote Misawa out of the cast, but at the same time, it's pretty evident that's the fault of the writers themselves. They could have done anything with the guy, revisit his character, but only had him return so they could justify interdimensional traveling. I'm not saying you do anything tragic or supernatural with Misawa and his backstory. When you give the koala guy who's obsessed with grilled cheese a backstory and we see his family, but neglect someone who is built up to be the rival of the main character, it's going to make me wonder what the hell are your priorities, Mr. Grilled Cheese Man? And you can tell the writers didn't like Misawa because in his duel against Tanya, he could have won easily. How, may you ask? Let me set the stage. So here's the setup. Tanya just has 1,700 life points with the Amazoness swordswoman on her field. Misawa has a conduction warrior, linear magnum plus minus, like damn that's a lot to say for a monster name, and has 1,200 life points. And
He wasn't crazy. He was ahead of the curve, getting 2 XD before 5 Ds.
Sawa could have won after he just attacked with his conduction warrior, leaving Tanya with only her Amazoness swordswoman. Now you're asking, how can he do this? Well, we see in Tanya's turn, Misawa had a set card, a quick play spell called Power Off. It's an anime-only card, a quick play spell that basically splits his Magnum plus minus monster into 2 monsters that formed it. By doing so, that would give Misawa Sigma plus with 1800 attack and Omega minus with 1900 attack. Misawa could have activated this card during his battle phase after completing Magnum plus minus's attack to get 2 monsters out on the field, and both could have easily tackled over Tanya's last monster and finish her off with a direct attack. Even with the ability of Amazoness swordswoman that makes it so if your opponent takes the damage instead, Bastion would have only taken 300 points of damage, meaning he'd still have 900.
Oh, you know what this character's like? They just made Viv again. Remember Viv? I don't know. You have to know the whole backstory of CU season 5, like the whole extra dueling tournament that Kaiba put on, because Kaiba Corp stock was dropping because of the Orichalcos arc, but there was a character. There was like a Chinese kung fu model / actress lady who lost to Rebecca, but she was in love with Yugi. But this is kind of like copy paste, but instead of like a Chinese kung fu lady, she's now like an Amazon warrior lady. But she's still in love with like a character, not the main character, but Bastion. But yeah, it kind of I haven't seen this yet, but she kind of feels like they wanted to do the Viv character again.
Bastion would have only taken 300 points of damage, meaning he'd still have 900 life points left. More than enough to finish her off. And my question is, why? Why would someone who's been categorized as an intelligent duelist make a mistake like this? Because he knows how his card works. He uses
because look at that blush. Look, he might be like an intelligent duelist in any other time, but a lot of his blood is going elsewhere besides his brain at the moment. So you might be able to understand why he didn't make the most optimal move at the most optimal time.
That during Tanya's turn. And while Misawa was thrown off his game a little bit, it's not like he was completely flustered at this point in the duel. To me, this is just a bullshit reason to allow Misawa to lose and have Judo become the hero again. And yes, The writers of the show knew this could be done because they literally do this with Judai in another episode.
Want to make a bet? I activate my diffusion spell card. Electrum, disconnect. Now I can bring back Avion, Burstinatrix, Clayman, and Bubbleman. Go, Avion! Attack is Glomoss. Will Cascade, Flare Storm, Play Clever, Bubble Blast.
I still got a few cards left, and you're all out of monsters that can attack me.
Hey, you're right. Must have miscounted. Nah, just kidding. It's my Electrum.
Any of you want to say that Misawa would be too careful not to waste life points to attack over a monster? Well, too bad, because he did the exact same thing against Manjome.
1,200 attack points Chthonian Soldier with Vapor Stream. Forget? When my soldier's destroyed, you take the same damage as me. My turn's not through. Next, my Hydrokiddon attacks another of your soldiers.
So he knows the.
And see, T. Williams says, why the duelist with glasses sound like Escargoon from Kirby? Why the same voice actor? It's possible.
Turn's not through. 1,200 attack points. And you're all out of monsters that can attack me.
Yeah. That's. I think that might be Escargoon actually. He does a lot of voices though. He does a lot of voices in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Hey, you're right.
He's like, I think some prominent characters in the Orichalcos arc.
Must have miscounted. Nah, just kidding. It's my
Also, I think he's Bandit Keith. I think Bandit Keith is also Escargoon.
Any of you want to say that Misawa would be too careful not to waste life points to attack over a monster? Well, too bad, because he did the exact same thing against Manjome.
1,200 attack points Chthonian Soldier with Vapor Stream. Forget? When my soldier's destroyed, you take the same damage as me. My turn's not through. Next, my Hydrokiddon attacks another of your soldiers.
So he knows the following.
Bastion's gonna beat that thing. He's gotta give up some life points.
I stated earlier you could have Misawa win and nothing would really change. You just have to have him lose off screen like the writers did with the other duelists before Judai faced off against Amnel at the final 7 stars. So this is complete bullshit. And they didn't even have to make power off a quick play spell. They could have just made it a trap card and then this wouldn't be an issue. But
It's a big of other two says, man, I love Water Dragon. I have a tattoo of it. Water Dragon, pretty cool stuff.
With all that said,
you much Megalodon?
What's left to say about Misawa and rivals?
I said, boy, Escargoons, I'm dueling with them cards. We need to climb with that there Kirby.
I am a huge fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX and Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole. But as a series, GX is probably one of the most flawed ones out there, especially with Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, unless you're talking about brains, but which unfortunately sucks because there's a lot of potential with the setting and characters that are introduced. Misawa being the biggest issue with the writing of the characters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Even worse than the girls at times. I've talked about the problems with Yu-Gi-Oh! Girls multiple times, but at least with the girls, while they're not treated the best, they were still remembered and weren't effectively shoveled off like Misawa was for the most part. And they.
You mean like a? I don't know about these characters, but I do know that every girl character has to have a female deck.
Sure as hell.
I think it's pretty funny.
Didn't end up like him. I know there are people out there who like Bastion for being more of a gag character, but most of the time he wasn't all that funny. He was mostly pushed to the side, and even if he was a clever idea at self-awareness and how a character gets demoted in relevance, which is something that happens a lot in GX, that still doesn't negate the issues. You have to ignore the setup. Hell, Misawa was displayed to have a fire dragon monster in the opening, something that we never actually see in the series. There was thought put into Misawa, but to me, it feels like the writers needed to have Judai be the one to defeat Tanya because he's the main hero. And it sucks because Misawa represented real-life players, what they do other than other characters in the entire series, building his decks, looking into strategies to counter his opponents, and being flexible with multiple strategies. But the writers certainly didn't know what to do with him. They really didn't know what to do with the other characters who weren't named Judai. And to me, that's how you ruin a rival. You set them up pretty well, and then you do nothing with that. Hell, you even sabotage them by not doing the move that could win them a duel, all to prop up the main character? I don't know, it feels off to me to do that. Especially when you go out of your way to really establish the character in his place, and then just decide to throw that away so your main character can get enough. And it's stuff like that that makes it hard for me to really like Yuki.
Takagi says, LD, I wish we could get the anime version of the TCG in real life, complete with the holograms. That'd be kind of cool, like the hologram stuff, unique card interactions, etc. Would be very expensive to make, but it'd be awesome because yeah, the whole hologram factor does bring in an extra like layer to the game. Remember correctly? it kind of becomes a little bit more like D&D,
Judai,
especially in Duelist Kingdom,
as a main character, that the writers have to bend the world and characters to make the guy look even better. So yeah, that's how you ruin a great rival to me. Goodbye, Misawa. You are sorely misused. In any case, if you guys have ideas for rivals that were ruined either by circumstances or writing, let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like, a comment, and if you're on mobile, use the hype feature to help push the video into the algorithm. Also, if you want to support the channel more, consider joining my Patreon or Ko-Fi, where you can get thanked in every video and get other perks as well. I'm Manga Common, and thanks for watching.
Fantastic. Very well done. Let's see, poor Bastion. He gets the shorter end of the stick on anyway, chat. Anyway, let's go to stream memes. Stream memes. So here we go, chat. Of course, we're going to transition over to stream memes with Pillman. So here we go, chat. Lower your volume or raise your volume, whatever you prefer, chat. And Pillman in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, yes, Bez. Thank you much, everyone, for generosity. Fantastic. Very much appreciated. We are just definitely going to have a Smiling Friends and Yu-Gi-Oh! GX stream this weekend. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see how this goes. So, down to the stream memes. There's a manga Kusanagi from Ghost in the Shell. Whatever the technical rationale for all of this, Shiro said in his poster book, Intron Depot 1, that I drew an all-girl orgy because I didn't want to draw a guy's butt. I mean, I guess it makes sense. A manga for real men. All right, the manga for little babies is like Alice Borderlands and Evangelion. But manga for real men? Oh, yeah, you got to have Yokohama Kaido Shokikyo and Laid Back Camp and A Man and His Cat. For real men. Normal Ninetales. Strong against steel types. Alolan Ninetales. 4 times weak against the steel types. Normal Sandslash. Strong against fire types. Alolan Sandslash. 4 times weak against fire types. Normal Ash can lift a log. Alolan Ash can't lift a log. It's a very big difference, yeah. That's a really strong kick. Say no to drugs. Oh man, 2025. It looks drugged out. Yeah. It's Your Majesty. Don't you think it's too soon to release another feline starter so close to the previous one? No. What are they doing down there, Ari? They're making milk from almonds. What? I gave them a Pokemon to make milk from. They don't like that milk. They don't like that milk? Nah. Went to this horrible bar called The Fiddle. It was really a violin. It was this. Be going back to my character being social. Grocery store fucking sucks. We will be together forever. 665 million years later. Fighting dinosaurs. Let's see. With a hearty smack to your palm, the flashlight comes to life and you quick you hadn't turned it on. Probably not the best idea. And see, I was abandoned by my parents when I was a child. I was raised by horses. I was abandoned by horses too. Then our pro wrestler took me in. The indie character's backstories. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. The villains, every time they see Vegeta's left arm, yeah, they like to break that thing quite a bit. It's always broken. How to talk to your cat about gun safety? 5,000 years eating bread, and suddenly in 1 decade everyone is allergic to gluten. Like, it's kind of weird. Why is that? Kind of interesting question to ask. It's playing video games. I'll show you something interesting. There are 2 types of games: XL and DDR. Civilization, XL. Doom, DDR. Minecraft, XL. Elden Ring, you guessed it, DDR. And see, now where it gets interesting, you'd think a shooter like Helldivers 2 is a DDR, but it's actually an XL. And a strategy like StarCraft 2 is instead a DDR pretending to be XL. My anime watch list 8 years ago. My anime watch list today. It's just huge. With your 2 murderous clowns, because I think Ronald has a higher body count than Joker at this point. Pretty sure. Evil. Well, oh yeah, that's from the Prophet and Lace episode, the one we don't really talk about. Ha 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 ha. Let's see. Aaron, die and be free of pain, or live and fight for your sorrow. Is Yuna. Riku. Oh, Riku is one of the best characters. Very interesting. Popular Yu-Gi-Oh content creator Alex Simo. What? How? How'd that happen? What happened to him? Matt Damon. What is this like? If Willem Dafoe played Yuna, gets accused of being racist, tries to prove he's not racist, trying to prove you're not racist, but proves that you're racist. Quits trying. Your silence is admission of racism. Like, no matter what you do, it's just racist. Fate. Oh, that's Merlin. It's like an elf or something. Oh no, this can be brother. It says here that I'm 102% outbid with a 2% margin of error. No. If she's single, it's 1v20. If she's taken, it's 1v1. Work smarter, not harder. And see. His own mind was destroyed by his incredible power. What an almighty idiot. Let's see. Priest uses squirt gun to bless members. Oh, is that what happened? Is that what you're talking about with the holy water squirt gun? It's kind of funny. Let's see. You hate women. Good. Get better material. Gamers are misogynists. What is this from? Then there's this thing, and then there's this 5K steps in 1 hour, 15K steps in 45 minutes. Dog, cigarettes, monster, Lotus War. And then what's this? Fandora? Those who hunt elves. It doesn't look they hunt elves. And see, won't you be needing the assistance of my capable self in the future as well? We hadn't done anything all the way to the 7th singularity. What are you talking about? When there's a challenging quest. What is Merlin? Oh yeah, it's Shrek, DC Comics and animation, Marvel Comics, Quest for Cat. Yeah, he's a badass in every universe. He might not always look badass. But he is a badass in every universe. It's the 6th singularity. Here you're shining Erigitulum, good luck finding the king. Here the prophecy, good luck finding the child. My job here is done. Goodbye. Because this one I got pretty far into the what's it called? Gurren Lagann. And this is Merlin from 7 Days. I know that part. I got that far enough to know that Merlin is in 7 Days Sins, and that's what she looks like. Merlin is a girl in that one. Merlin is still a badass in this one, even though he's kind of goofy. Let's see. And then the Invisible Man and his soon-to-be wife. The God cards. This Bastion. Chaz it up. No, you don't get to yell at Chaz to Chaz it up after you lost to Bastion and Jaden. Like, you don't get to do that. He has to earn back his awesomeness. Yes, my snoo. Oh yeah, the Chumley's official business, like his dad's business, is sake, but you can't really do that in 4Kids. So they made him a manufacturer of hot sauce, and it's really funny because everyone's just drinking hot sauce like sake. And see, Academics 5 Superchats says it's important to find your DDR and Excel fix. Lets you found wanting. I need to play a lot more Excel games. And see, well, thank you very much, Anime Acumen. I do like Doom. Doom is a lot of fun. Just by luck, you again. You may have mastered my fighting style. A stupid style that leaves us in a stalemate, punching each other until unconsciousness. But have you mastered random bullshit? Yes, I've mastered random bullshit, and I hate that too. Oh yeah, I love the Yubel arc where she's like loves Jaden, I guess. Backstory. Escargoon, get that Kirby. I say, boy. Jojo, and this is just deities in. I think was that Azumanga Dai or something like that. Anyway, chat. We're going to go ahead and shut down the stream for today. Thank you for everyone joining me. Thank you much, Best Chat, for always being best chat of your wonderful rest of your day. See you again, of course, next time.
On a cold winter morning in the time before the light, in flames of death's eternal reign, we ride towards the fight. When the darkness has fallen down and the times are tough, alright, the sound of evil laughter falls around the world tonight. Couldn't keep it in, although heaven knows I tried. Conceal, don't feel, don't let them know. Well, now they know, so let me go. Won't hold it back anymore. Let me